Cheers, queers! What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today, we are continuing to recap Blank the series, and we'll be starting our discussion of episode 205, the most depressing episode in the series. So I hope you're ready. We're not. Woo! We promise to make this as entertaining as humanly possible and the least depressing that we can. So we hope you listen and you're not just like, I hate this episode, let me skip. If you do, I don't blame you, because, I forgot how depressing this episode was until we started writing notes.
But we know us, and we put humor in everything.
We do.
We are super serious.
So serious.
So serious. So serious. But anyway, I forgot if we needed a disclaimer or not.
Before we get into this, just so you know, this is a recap episode, so we will be going scene by scene through Blank. I don't know if you're starting with this episode. What an episode to pick if you are. Hi, we're glad you're here. If you want more Blank content, just become a Patreon member for $5 a month. We reacted to the whole series. We put a bunch of stuff on there. Just go have fun with everybody. If you're not about the $5 life, totally fine. Join our Discord. You should definitely join our Discord, because there's a bunch of people in there talking about Blank, all the Thai girl love shows, just queer media in general. Make some new friends. Have a blast.
Yeah. But before we begin, we have to do some Patreon member shoutouts. Now, before we do that, we love all of our Patreon members. There are so many people there, and we appreciate every single one of you. We see all of your comments. We read them. We send them to each other when we see them, even though we both get the notifications. But yes, it's a great time. And we are going to shout out all of our $15 tier members and above. But we're also going to randomly pick 3 members from our $5 tier to give you also a chance for a verbal shout out. So today we have Jay, Dana, Natalia, Miranda, Regina, and Monet. They are on the $15 and above tiers.
Woo!
And drum roll for our $5 people. We have Nancy, Cassie, Woo! And Blue Potato. We see you.
We sure do. Thank you for your participation and your comments and your likes and all the things. You're making the Patreon thrive, and we thank each and every one of you, and we're glad you're enjoying what we're putting out there.
Yes. Again, we love you all because you are all so amazing. It's a great time over there.
It's a great time.
Okay, but speaking of shout-outs, I think at this point we give this person a shout out in every episode because they definitely, they deserve all of the shouting out.
Yes.
And I hope I say your name correctly. I will double check later with you. But Juana Sorn, the screenwriter of Blank, who has been faithfully listening to our episodes now and talking to us about them. And if... Sorry, just as an announcement, because this was going out beforehand. Next week, we will be doing an interview with Juana Sorn on our Discord. This means this interview is going to be done live, where people can listen in. I am nervous. Anyway, it's going to be a great time, so come join your Discord if you want to be a part of it. We will also be opening up a form where you can submit questions beforehand, and we might choose you to actually ask the screenwriter your question yourself. So it's an excellent opportunity, a great time to learn even more about Blank. I'm so excited, and I hope everyone else is too.
It's going to be great. Just another incentive to join our Discord.
It's a great time over there. There is so much going on. Every single Thai girl love show right now has a thread over there that is fully active, and people are excited. So come join the community and make it even more active.
And gay it up all over that place.
Woo!
Woo!
With that,
I think that's all the announcements. What?
Yeah.
Whoa. We have to hydrate for Fi first.
Theora, that's literally what I was about to say.
Okay, good!
We can't not do that.
No. It needs to happen.
But thank you. Because if I did forget, that would be a travesty.
It would be.
And now that we have all hydrated for 5, let's get into part 1, where we unfortunately start with homophobia.
Which is why we had to hydrate for 5. Because this starts off with homophobia.
Oh, this episode is titled Homophobia at its Finest.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Okay. So, apparently Chet forgot his phone and conveniently had to come back and interrupt the beautiful moment that Nung Squared is having. And it seems to me that he just walked into this palace without knocking because, like, there was no announcement of his presence whatsoever.
Yep.
Like, sure, like, they should have been able to hear him enter, right?
Like, that is a really good point. I don't know. I don't know if they left through some, like, different exit than normal. Because it doesn't look like the same area where, like... Remember, every time Big Nung takes drunk Little Nung home, it's always through that one entrance. And then Auntie Nim immediately appears and is like, hey, this is the entrance. Yeah, where were the servants to, like, greet this dude? He just, like, walked in unannounced.
Also... is maybe Auntie Nim just tired of all this bullshit and be like,
it's
just
true.
get this over with? So she's like,
you know what? I'm tired of this. Yeah, exactly. But can we go back to the excuse of he, quote, forgot his phone? Like, did he do that on purpose? Or did he actually forget his phone?
I don't know, actually.
Right. Because, like, okay, here's my thoughts. Yes, that he did it on purpose would require him to have a functioning brain cell, and we know that he doesn't have that.
Yeah.
So I think that he's an idiot who just forgot his cell phone at the palace and just like happened to walk in on this. It just seems like such a coincidental moment, but like Chet has been, I don't know, kind of suspicious of them a little bit. But
he's definitely been suspicious, but probably only because Big Nung isn't into him.
Right, no, exactly. So I don't think he put the she's into my daughter piece together quite yet to, like, stage this, you know. It will require him to be a smarter person than he is. So I think he's just an idiot who forgot his phone at the palace.
But it could also be, oh, I'll leave this... Well, he could have also forgotten it, but it gives him an excellent excuse
to go talk to Big Nung.
See Big Nung again. Yeah.
Right, but he knew Little Nung was gonna be there, so, like... But also, he's not smart. So maybe he forgot his daughter was going to be there. And to your point, was like, oh, I can get her alone. And we can revisit the I want to marry you thing. But then, yeah, Little Nung was very much there. And then he's like, oh, all of my plans were thwarted.
But he does forget that he has a daughter unless it benefits him at that point. So
yeah, so that's also plausible that he staged this just to talk to Big Nung and then forgot Little Nung. Because he does that a lot. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Mm-hmm. Either way, I hate him. This is the theme of this episode. I hate him.
I hate him. Okay, but as he is entering, Nung Squared is sitting very close on the couch, and Big Nung just looks up at him. And to me, this doesn't really look suspicious. Like, I don't understand any suspicion around this, because it's not like they were making out and, like, Big Nung's shirt was unbuttoned or something. Like, they were talking. Yeah.
This could have been a lot worse. I will say though, like, okay, but like Little Nung was like in Big, because remember, okay, they did the kiss, and then Little Nung like they lingered in each other's personal spaces, and so when he comes in, they're like a breath apart from each other. So like that is kind of suspicious. But in the book, this was a lot. He actually catches them kissing in the book. Like, okay, first of all, there's the whole we were showering together. Thing where he's like, wait a minute, and that's where it first tips him off. Then this whole scene, they go outside, I think, to say goodbye. I can't remember exact details in the book, but I remember the two of them were outside the palace, and Little Nung insists on kissing Big Nung, and Big Nung goes with it because she's like, whatever, I love you. And then I think Chet sees them like explicitly kissing. So the way this was cut, it doesn't seem like he did. Because it seems like he was walking in as they were, like, pulling apart. But I don't know. Like, maybe the editing is throwing us off, and maybe he did see some more than we are led to believe with the editing.
I want to ask Wanasorn why he did not find out through the shower. I'm just
because
curious.
they completely changed that whole sequence, which I'm fine with, because then we got the much more intimate moment, like emotional intimate moment. But that was one of the funniest moments in the book, because just Big Nung's inner monologue is so funny. She's like, "There's no talking my way out of this."
I do really want to read that.
It's so funny.
Okay, so Chet then sends Little Nung to get his phone because apparently he can't get it himself. But it was also a convenient way to get her out of the room. But, like, also, why?
Right. That's my question. Why does he order Little Nung to do this? Why would she know where your phone is, Chet? Why would she know that to go get it? Like, wouldn't you? Because when you lose something, you're like, where's the last place I left it? Why would she know that, as if she's paying such close attention to you? She forgets you're her father also. Like, it's a mutual we forget each other thing. There's no way this bitch knows where your phone is. She probably, what happened to her? She left and she's like, where the hell was he? Because I don't know where was he even sitting? I did not pay attention to him at all. So she was, like, trying to figure out where the hell Chet was to track down his phone. And, like, meanwhile, he's, like, making Big Nung all defensive and shit. Because, like, the minute they're alone, Big Nung starts crossing her arms like, oh, dear. Like, very defensive. Because she rightfully is worried he saw them kiss. Which, like, again, we've talked about unclear. But she's also been wary of him for quite some time. And she's just, like, this episode, a lot of it is just Big Nung waiting for all hell to break loose. And just being like, just gonna stand here defensively until this happens. This isn't good.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. That is her role.
Most of this
She's
episode.
definitely Faye is doing so much acting silently in this episode. I mean, it's beautiful because
it's one of her strengths for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, okay, so then Little Nung comes back with the phone. Somehow off screen, she figured it out, finds the phone, gives it to Chet. Then he checks it, as if she didn't bring him his own phone. And this girl just looks so confused the whole time. She's like, I don't understand what is happening. And it's like, yeah, your dad's pretty weird. As if you didn't know that.
He is a mystery that I don't want to figure out.
No, exactly. He's a mystery that's best left unsolved. We don't need to solve it. Just pack it up.
Okay, but during all this, Big Nung is looking guilty AF. Like, she is trying to gauge if he heard any of the conversations she just had with Little Nung, because that was a lot.
Honestly, that's more concerning than the kiss, to be honest, because Little Nung, like, laid out their whole future, and, like, that's more concerning than, like, oh, this is some, like, fling they're having. No, Little Nung's basically like, we're gonna get married, we're gonna move into a cottage, I'm gonna take care of you when you retire. Like, she laid out their whole future, so, like, that's way more serious than just, like, they kissed once on a couch. You know what I mean? To, like, catch that. Yeah. It's like, wow, this is a serious relationship I just walked into.
Yeah, it's really not about what he saw rather than what he heard.
I agree. That's more concerning.
Because they're not silent. They're not quiet.
Again, Big Nung, you picked the couch by the door. This was your fault. Maybe she's like, damn, I should have took this in the bedroom. What was I thinking? I think she's just so out of sorts. It just was like, ugh. Like, you know, not thinking clearly.
There's just a lot going on at the moment.
It's just, this is a shitty situation, period. All of it. And then Chet always makes it worse with his presence and words and everything about him. Another theme of this episode. Chet makes it worse.
That's a theme in this show.
Also that.
So then Chet tries to be a father and asks Little Nung if she will be staying at the palace tonight. And of course she says yes, because, like, duh.
What, did he not already know that? Like, everybody left and she'd stayed behind. Again, the way he does not pay attention to her until it concerns him pisses me off a lot. Because, remember, earlier in the last episode, Big Nung said goodbye to everybody and Little Nung stayed. And he, didn't notice that?
Well, I also think that it was just, like, he knew, but he was just trying to figure out a way to be her father and, like...
That's true.
Assert authority, maybe.
To be like, a little bit. How long are you staying here? Where are you sleeping exactly?
What are you doing?
What will you be doing?
Who
Well,
are
that's
you
why at the
doing?
end when he's like, don't stay up too late, he's like, do not have sex with Big Nung. I get it, but like, don't. That's what he was implying there.
But
And she's like, bitch, I'll do what I want. What do you mean?
Little Nung.
Look at
was
her.
Like, I'm gonna do what I want.
She's like, I will do whatever I want all evening. And Big Nung's don't let me, because she's a simp.
During this conversation, Big Nung is looking between Little Nung and Chet, and I just feel like she's waiting for something bad to happen.
Yeah. She's waiting for the blowout.
Right? She's like, okay, if it's kind of like if I stay still, if I say nothing, maybe nothing will happen.
She's just, I think she's like, a lot of this episode is Big Nung, I think we're like going back to old habits kind of thing. Because we've talked about all the progress she's made with Little Nung, but like, what does she do when she's like confronted with something? She retreats into herself and then gets real quiet and only speaks when she has to. So if you watch, a lot of her behavior here is she's defensive. She's getting she's internalizing all of this and just watching. So
and we know when she internalizes things and is quiet, it's never a good sign. And that is why Little Nung always tries to keep getting her to keep talking and keep going.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But Little Nung can't do that in the scene because the, quote, adults are talking or whatever. So yeah, it's not good for Big Nung's mental health, this scene.
But at the very least in this scene, the only good thing about this is that Chet finally asked Little Nung directly instead of asking Big Nung if Little Nung was staying the night.
That's how you know something's wrong, when he's like actually talking to Little Nung. But if you notice, when he says this, that's when Big Nung, like, perks up a bit. Because, like, she's been suspicious of him. And now he, like, to your point, is, like, making an excuse to get along the lines of what are you doing with Big Nung without, like, actually directly asking that question. So I think she picks up on this and she's like, oh, shit, he is actually suspicious of us. Because he doesn't normally talk to her and ask her direct questions. And he's asking a direct question about, like, her staying here, which no one has had an issue with. So she's like, oh, fuck. Like, does he know? Because he's asking about this, which is only an issue if you know that we're dating.
Mm-hmm. And then makes it worse by asking her how long she's going to be. Like,
exactly.
when she's going home. Yeah. And then, yeah.
How funny would it have been if she's like, this is my home. What do you mean?
Yeah. It's like, I
home.
live here.
I live here. I have a key.
So Little Nung tells him that the semester ends in 2 weeks, which is technically not an answer to when she's going home.
No, it's not.
But
because she is home. She's like, I'm not going home, but
his response is also kind of weird because he just nods and then says, I'm leaving now.
He's so weird. I can't stand him. I think he feels awkward. Yeah, he's finally like, something LGBT is happening here, and I kind of don't understand it, and I need to leave, but also I don't want to leave because something LGBT is happening here.
But he also doesn't know how to be a father. So
no, like, not at all.
Those were the only questions I knew to ask.
He has proven that time and time again, that he actually doesn't know what he's doing.
And at this point, just everyone is suspicious of everyone.
Yeah.
And at least, like, the music in this scene is so dramatic. And
it's so dramatic. Because this is the music I imagine that's playing in Big Nung's head right now. Because she's, like, amped up by this conversation. She's like, oh, God, am I going to have to fight your dad? Because I will.
This is the theme song for the rest of the show in her head.
Yeah. Literally. Because we're in the drama stage, everyone.
Yeah. And before... Like you said before he leaves, Chet tells Little Nung not to stay up too late. And just when I heard this, it irked me so much that he tries to be her father because he's the one who knowingly abandoned her.
Yes.
Like, knowingly.
Yes.
He did not want her.
He chose to abandon her. Yep. Pinga did not choose to abandon her daughter. She was forced into it. Let us never forget that. He chose to step away. And also, she's an adult. What do you mean?
Yes. She's a full-grown adult in her 20s.
She's 21!
But, like, I don't feel like he has the right to say these things to her.
I agree. He does not. He does not.
Oh, I get so angry when he's on the screen and I want to slap him so bad.
Because everything that comes out of his mouth feels sinister to me and not, like, he's not saying it in good faith in my mind. He only tries to do these things when it seems like he's trying to control Little Nung, not, like, look out for her well-being. Because we'll get a good contrast with Pinga later, where, like, Pinga does things and says things, but it's like, you can tell that she genuinely cares about Little Nung. It's not so much, I'm trying to control you. When he says shit, it sounds like, where is this? He never directly talks to her. Now he's directly talking to her because he's trying to control her love life. You know what I mean? It just comes off as disingenuous always from him. Whether he means it that way or not, always comes off as disingenuous. And so, like, Little Nung's always confused. She's like, why are you talking to me and saying this? Like, get out of here. Like, which is understandable because he has no real relationship with her other than, like, I gave you DNA.
Which is not enough to be a dad.
She doesn't want him. She's like, I don't want your name. I don't want your money. She's flat out told him that. Like, I don't want to be parented by you.
If
like,
she could give you your DNA back, she
would. She super would. She doesn't want this. But that doesn't matter here. Anyway, he's so
But luckily, homophobia does exit, finally. And the Nungs are left just staring at each other like, what the hell was that? Because what the hell is anything that Chet does? And it's the same thought I always have when he's on the screen.
It's just, he's the man that's inserting himself into lesbian business that he has no business inserting himself into, but yet he keeps trying.
He's the man who thinks he can convert a lesbian.
Right. No, he's that guy. He doesn't believe in queerness when it comes to women especially. So yeah, he's like, well, you just haven't found the right man. He literally, like, says that later about Little Nung. She hasn't found the right man yet. He is 100% that guy.
I would love him to tell Big Nung that and then forget that he was engaged to her. And say, you just need to be with me. She'd be like, dumbass, I was with you. You weren't the right dude either.
There's no right dude, but there is a right woman. Get over it.
Yes. Okay, so later that night, they are in Big Nung's bed. I believe it's Big Nung's bed. And
I'm pretty sure.
To Little Nung's show that she loves. Once again, Little Nung is very focused on what is going on, while Big Nung is looking at her like, really? This is what you want to listen to?
I just have to point out one thing. I agree with all that. Just, they're listening to it on an iPad. Put a pin in that. Just put a pin in that.
Okay.
It's an iPad. And they're listening to the radio show on the iPad. And Big Nung is there in front of the iPad. And she sees the iPad. Just, I have to set this up because later she's going to make a comment and I'm like, Big Nung. Do you have
that was good. That was a good call out.
I have to bring that up.
And not only does she see it, Big Nung's the one who quickly turns it off.
Yeah, this is her only evidence she knows how to use an iPad. There we go. Good job, Big Nung. But then she forgets she knows how to use technology later in the scene.
Yes.
I love her.
This
convenient. Is, I don't know if this is a purposeful character trait or not. I don't think it was. But, like, for my read, this is a character trait, and I think it's endearing that she does things like this. She's just funny. I just find her hilarious.
Okay, so, yeah, when she turns it off, I think it's most likely the reason is because it's the story being told. And the caller is talking about how her boyfriend's mom is forcing him to marry another woman. And now this hits way too close to her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we know from the past that if something reminds her of the past or her situation, she will shut down and become defensive, like we just said.
Yeah, because, like, think about that scenario. That was literally her scenario and Sam's scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah. She's like, I've seen this film before enough.
Yes.
I know they get the girl in the end. Like, it's
because they
or their boyfriend
were never allowed to, like, fight. They had to shut down and just take it. So, I mean, it makes sense.
No, literally, like, there was no fighting that situation. What did Nung do? Nung did flight, not fight. She had to physically run away from the scenario to get out of the scenario. And then, like, Sam tried to placate everybody, but in the end was the one that had to step away and also fight to, like, be like, no, So yeah, she's like, I don't need to hear this. I've lived this twice.
And it wasn't fun another time.
No, and then Chet is trying to have history repeat itself for some reason, because he's like, let's do that again. And she's like, no.
Like, I'm tired.
She's a tired 30-year-old. I understand. She's like, enough with this.
But little Nung is not fully seeing what's going on, because she's too wrapped up in what's going on on the show. And she's not registering to her that...
She gets so engrossed into the show. Like, I love the way Yoko does this, because, like, she's just, like, little Nung is in that story. Like, she forgot Big Nung was there. That's how engrossed she gets in this show. And poor Big Nung is like, I don't see it. I don't see it.
And it also shows just how empathetic she is to, like, be able to get into these stories.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point, because she is very empathetic.
So little Nung is just upset that Big Nung turned it off, and Big Nung just doesn't understand why she likes listening to other people's problems. And yeah, she says, I've been listening with you for a while, and it's all about stealing each other's lovers, like in soap operas. And my first thought was, I'm sorry, Big Nung. Have you seen your life? And I think we just need to do a very, very quick recap of her life. Okay? And this is not even her, like, childhood growing up. This is just the show. Okay? So, quick recap. Your best friend, who was in love with you as a teenager, confessed her love, and rejected got pregnant through a one-night stand with Chet. Then, after trying to get her to get rid of it, she disappears, and 20 years later, you meet and fall for a woman who turns out to be the daughter. The mother then comes back after you fall for the daughter and reminds you of the past, let alone all the things going on with the grandmothers. Like, it's, like, what do you call that?
And also, Chet tried to marry you twice.
Yes.
He's rejected him, the father of the daughter.
And ran away at the altar. Like, I don't know what she calls it. I call it prime television, and really, they should have a reality show. I know they both don't like being in the spotlight, but
damn,
it would do great. It would.
It would do great.
We'd watch it.
Yeah, I mean, Big Nung.
Little Nung tells Big Nung that real issues are better than soap operas, but Big Nung doesn't get it. And it makes sense why it is so hard for Big Nung to understand, though, because she was raised not to show emotion or talk about your problems. That is the big thing. You do not talk about it. And it's only recently in a lot of cultures that you start talking about, like, what's going on with you.
Yeah.
Because it's just not a common thing. Because you're showing weakness, and you're not supposed to show weakness.
Yeah, well, also coming from her, remember, she's raised to be perfect at all times, and, like, perfect people don't have weaknesses. So it's also that component, and then the cultural aspect, just in general, like you're saying, to, like, don't talk about your problems kind of thing.
But this is just another example of the even bigger gap they have, because it once again shows how the younger generation is changing. Because now they're able to share feelings and experiences with others and all grow together from those shared experiences.
Yeah. All right. So I agree with all of that. I really like this line from Little Nung that you brought up where, like, she's like, hey, the real story is more fun than the soap opera. Like, real life is more engaging to her than, like, fiction, is what she's saying. And I think it's interesting because if you think about them, Big Nung and Little Nung both grew up in oppressive households that traumatized them. And we've talked about that so much. But what we haven't really discussed is how it affects their reactions / reception to other people's drama. We've talked about, like, how they react when they're in drama, but, like, their reaction to other people. So let's talk about that for just a quick second, because that's relevant to this radio show. So Big Nung, I've mentioned many times, as you can see, like, when Chet comes in, she's a drama averse person, which means, like, she tries to stay as far away from possible from drama. Like, you saw her. Chet comes in, she closes herself off with her body language because she doesn't like being involved in drama. She, as we've seen from Juan Viva, she's not the friend you call when you need somebody to listen to you about your problems. She is the bitch you call to enact revenge on your behalf. See Juan Viva. Okay, also, up until meeting Little Nung, Big Nung avoided her own drama like the plague. Like, she ran away to be a recluse and, like, get her shit together and do what was best for her. Like, being in drama is not something she likes. She tries to avoid conflict. I get that feeling from her. Which is why, like, when she's in conflict, she doesn't directly answer a lot of questions. She asks more questions. She's trying to, like, get out of it. Like, that's my feeling from her. So, of course, Big Nung would not be a fan of this radio show, which seems like, to me, to your point, a toned-down version of, like, reality TV, but it's, like, where it's just, like, because, like, reality TV is more, like, orchestrated problems posing as reality versus, like, these are actual people being like, this is my issue, help me, kind of thing. Excuse me. Okay, so let's contrast that with Little Nung. So Little Nung has had a very lonely life up until she met Big Nung. Never forget, she is an only child. Her grandmother forbade her from having friends because she was paying for the crimes of Pinga's teenage pregnancy. And the first real connection she ever really made with another human being was Big Nung, and that's the one that changed her life. Like, yeah, she had friends, but, like, they were taken away from her by her grandmother. So, like, really, she never had, like, a lasting bond until Big Nung comes along. And I want to make the point that Big Nung was an isolated person, but, like, she was less isolated growing up compared to Little Nung because she had her sisters. So she wasn't, like, didn't grow up fully isolated under the control of the Grandmam. She had Sam and Song. But when she fled the palace, she embraced the hermit life, like, being isolated to, like, heal from all the trauma in a way. But overall, like, Big Nung spent way less time being fully isolated compared to Little Nung. And like Kaitlynn has pointed out many times, Little Nung seemed to have spent a lot of her free time consuming media. Like, we've seen her on the show consume sapphic novels like Pluto, and then this radio show comes up over and over again. So this was her primary source for human connection outside of her grandmother, because she was the princess in the tower. Like, she was forced into isolation by, like, her home life. So I think this line from Little Nung where she's saying, reality is more interesting to me than the soap opera, is actually really heartbreaking when you think about it, because what she's saying is, I'd prefer the real thing over the media version, because for most of her life she was denied real human connections, and she was forced to just connect through media. And so because of that, she kind of missed out on real life drama. And that's, while it's not always a good thing, like, going through problems is what strengthens bonds. Like, you've seen Little Nung and Big Nung kind of go through that. They'll go through, like, a fight or whatever, or get through some barrier, and then they're stronger in the end. So, like, that's how you foster relationships. And it's really sad that Little Nung was actually denied of, like, being able to grow as a person because the grandmother was trying to, like, was overly protective of her and, like, kept her away from other people. So then they bring it back to this radio show. So this radio show also seems to be, at least from what we hear, seems to be focused on romantic relationships, which is something Little Nung also craves. And we've seen, like, from day one, she's the one who's fought super fiercely for her relationship with Big Nung, and may have listened to this show for, like, advice on how to navigate their relationship. Like, hence all that emotional intelligence we see, where she was just, like, spouting wisdom to Big Nung. And I wonder if she got it from, like, hearing about these problems. So she's like, well, now I can be better at, like, handling our problems because I have a frame of reference. Whereas Big Nung's like, her response is run away because she doesn't seek out, like, the drama to learn from it. She, like, runs away and is like, how do I get out of the drama? Because I hate being in the drama. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because they're just... It's very interesting to compare and contrast them, which is obviously why we do it so much.
Yeah. Because they are so similar, but yet they're so different. And then they just balance each other out really nicely. Okay, so as this keeps going on, Little Nung gets annoyed with Big Nung because Big Nung I like when Big Nung's like, I don't understand this. And she's very honest about it. Like, like you said earlier, Big Nung admitted she's been listening to this show for a while with Little Nung. So I think it's evident that Big Nung is really genuinely trying to understand this hobby that Little Nung has. She's like, I'm trying to understand what you're getting out of this. Because, like, she's watching Little Nung, and Little Nung is so enraptured in this thing and, like, sucked into it. And Big Nung's like, I don't understand it. But she's trying to understand it. She's confused And I have to give Big Nung credit for, like, again, trying to understand Little Nung's hobby. Because, like, what was the whole evening they just had at that dinner? It was being like, we're too different. Our hobbies are too different. So, like, here's Big Nung trying to make an effort to be like, I'm trying to understand your hobby. And, like, because she could just be like, fuck this, I'm out, I'm leaving, turn this off, let's go to sleep. But she's not. She's, like, genuinely trying to understand it.
Also because Little Nung's the one saying, should I get adult hobby? Should I do something of it? Should I change everything? And now Big Nung's like, I don't want her to do that, so let me try to be interested in what she is. And that's...
That's exactly what she's doing. Yeah, exactly. Because, like, they've been doing that shit the whole time, but they just don't ever really talk... Because it's not... Okay, in a real relationship, you don't actually, like, have these conversations where you're like, what hobby is your hobby? And, like, you kind of, like... to have conversations about trying... You just kind of do it. You just, like, go with your partner to, like, a thing, and then you try to learn about it, and, like... what Big Nung is doing. This is actually how you do it. And Little Nung, I think what Little Nung gets out of this radio show is that, like, she learns and she's less lonely when she, like, has this radio. But, like, now she has Big Nung, so, like, she is less lonely in the world, but, like, you know, they got problems, so, like, let's get some tips.
Because life's never going to be perfect. There's always some sort of issue, and someone's been through it.
I mean, also, like, is this one not relevant to Little Nung, kind of? Because, like, so far, her grandmother and Chet are trying to push her towards finding a man. So, like, she easily could end up in the situation where, like, her parents are trying to force her to marry a man that she doesn't want to marry, and meanwhile she has Big Nung. So, like, this actual case, I bet Little Nung's like, oh shit, this could be us one day. Give me the advice.
She's like, Big Nung, I need to figure out our future.
And Big Nung's like, I've been through this. You run away. So, anyway.
So, Little Nung points out that all of these couples do have their own issues, and it's up to them if they will fight for their love or not. And this is a very interesting thing to bring up to Big Nung, and a very good timing, actually.
I mean... yeah, because, like, this has been the whole show, right? So Little Nung learned from the show that couples survive by fighting for the relationship together. The key word is together. Together. Because we've seen Little Nung throughout the show be super frustrated with Big Nung because it seems like, from Little Nung's perspective, she's the one who's always fighting for the relationship by herself, and Big Nung is not fighting equally back with her. So...
Big Nung has been fighting more so for Little Nung's family relationship rather than theirs.
It's interesting. Okay, it's an interesting dynamic, though, because, like, the way they're presented is that, like, Little Nung's more so, like, the damsel in this relationship, and, like, Big Nung is, like, the mask energy kind of character, and, like, fits, like, the husband role and all that kind of stuff, and Little Nung's, like, the wife role. And if you, like, think about those, like, archetypes... for lack of a better word, like, usually the female energy person is the one that, like, this is like the loyal pin, right? The female version is, like, the one that, like, self-sacrifices. Like, that's the biggest strength of, like, the woman, quote, is to self-sacrifice, versus, like, the masculine or male character or whatever is the one that, like, fights head on kind of thing. So it's interesting that again, Big Nung is presented as, like, the mask character, and then, like, Little Nung is, like, the femme character in, like, their relationship, but their actions are completely different. Whereas, like, Big Nung is the one self-sacrificing for like the greater good for Little Nung to show her devotion, and Little Nung's the one who's, like, constantly trying to, like, fight everybody. You know what I mean? It's, like, the opposite, which is actually really interesting and fun.
Yeah, this show is just fun in general.
It's so fun in general. When I say I like complicated characters, I mean stuff like this. Like, they don't fit any kind of norm at all. They're just an amalgamation of a bunch of stuff, and they feel like very real people who actually just do normal relationship things, and I enjoy that. Like, they're just having a conversation over, like, Little Nung's hobby. Like, I love it.
They're not just stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
They got complexities.
They have complexities, like contrasting complexities, and makes them very interesting.
And this opens up the perfect opportunity for Little Nung to ask Big Nung if she is going to fight for their love with her. Because we've been tiptoeing around it, but she needs to know. She's like, are you going to be in this fight? Or are you going to still be fighting for my family instead. That's not fully what she's asking, but she just wants to know that Big Nung is going to fight for their love.
Yeah, because, like, this is an insecurity of hers that she still has, which is understandable because, like, everything I just said, like, Big Nung has shown time and time again that, like, she self-sacrifices when Little Nung wants her to fight with her, you know?
Little Nung has been holding this relationship together.
Whether Big Nung likes it or not.
But this is why I think Little Nung got her emotional maturity from media. Like, we've talked about this. Being able to see many different types of stories and people play out, like, how they handle things helps you determine how other people might react to something and figure out new ways to handle situations. Like, this is exactly what I do. Like, it's easy to get a bunch of different perspectives and figure out how, I mean, obviously it's not like real life. What she's doing is real life. So that is giving her a more accurate representation of what could happen. But Big Nung doesn't answer her. Instead, she quickly glances towards Little Nung's lips. And I think internally she was like, 1,000% she's going to fight. But she couldn't voice it because she really doesn't know what the outcome will be. All she knows is that she loves Little Nung and wants to be with her. But it's hard to say that for a fact because she doesn't, like, really, it's, what is her family going to do?
Yeah. Again, another one of their dichotomies is that Little Nung is the optimist and then Big Nung is the pessimist. That's the golden retriever black cat energy, right? Big Nung is the pessimist, which makes her pragmatic in certain situations. And I thought this moment was really interesting, and I like your take on it. It took me, I still don't fully know what was going on in this moment for Big Nung, but regardless, it seems like she gets lost in this question, just by the way she's just, like, staring at Little Nung and, like, obviously feeling a bunch of things. And while she's kind of sitting there in the silence, it's like she opens her mouth like she's going to say something, but then Little Nung quickly interrupts her and brings up Chet to, like, completely pivot the conversation.
It completely kills any mood whatsoever when you bring
I think
Chet.
she did that on purpose, but, like, I'm not entirely, from Big Nung's point of view, I'm not entirely sure what she was gonna say, actually, but whatever it is, I get the impression that it was gonna be something very honest, because she does take those moments before being super vulnerable. A lot of the times when it's, like, something super from the heart that she hasn't voiced out loud before, she's gotten to the point with, like, I love you and things like that. It's easier for her to say because she said it before. But whatever this was, I feel like it was going to be super, super honest. And I think she was trying to, like, psych herself up to do it, to, like, because sometimes she loses her courage in these moments and it takes her a little bit to, like, get the courage to, like, say the thing and put it out there. My best guess is that she was going to explain, perhaps, that she has been fighting for Little Nung the entire time, and, like, again, reiterating she's playing the long game because she sees Little Nung as her future. Like, that was the whole thing on the couch when she's like, wow, it's not just me that sees the future, you actually see the future in vivid detail, Little Nung. That's insane. Because she was hoping for it, but I don't think she ever really let herself, like, embrace that dream of what the future could be until she heard Little Nung actually voice it out loud, and then she was like, oh wow, like, you see it, like, that could be us, kind of thing. But I think because to go back to your point of, like, Little Nung cutting her off, I think because Big Nung was quiet for so long, Little Nung, in her insecurity, assumed Big Nung was gonna, like, reject this idea because A, she knows Big Nung is worried about the family drama, like you said, and B, Big Nung just admitted that she doesn't want to hear about other people's drama, and I think maybe Little Nung is worried that her family drama falls under this category of, like, something Big Nung doesn't want to be involved in, doesn't, like, remember we had the whole thing with Sam and Mon, where Big Nung goes to see them for advice, and she's like, well, what if Little Nung is tired of this, us being in the same fight over and over again, and she, like, leaves me because of this, basically. I think Little Nung has the same fear, right? Because she's like, Big Nung hates drama. Big Nung, what if she gets tired of this? And it's like, I don't want to, you're not worth it. I'm not going to keep doing this, you know? And so I wonder if she, like, Little Nung feels like that her family is, like, an outsider in that point of view. And Big Nung's like, I don't know, if they're not worth it, you're not worth it. Even though, like, Big Nung sees her as family. And, like, that's why she's doing all these things. So it's like, I feel like they have the same fear sometimes, but, like, they express it differently.
That's fair. I mean, they express things differently in general, like we've been talking about.
Yeah. But they're on the same page most of the time, to be honest.
Yeah. Because they work well together.
They do. And they care about each other, and it's very obvious. And, like, yeah.
I love them.
I love them.
But yeah, again, seeing that Big Nung isn't going to be answering that, even, I mean, there is the possibility that she was going to say something, but Little Nung brings it back to a moment we all don't want to remember.
No, Little Nung,
Why
would you do this to us?
We don't want to talk about this. She says that she doesn't think her dad saw them do anything this evening because he acted naturally with them. And I'm like, was that natural?
Right. Okay, here's my thing. He definitely wasn't acting natural because Big Nung picked up on it. But I think Little Nung, like Chet, pays so little attention to him that she has no idea what his normal behavior is. I don't think she genuinely knows because she never thinks about him or, like, commits anything about him to memory. So, and, like, again, to go back to that scene, since when does he ask about Little Nung's time with Big Nung? That was not normal, and Big Nung knows that. That's why she, like, perked up when he asked it. And in this scene, when, like, Little Nung's like, oh, he's being totally normal, Big Nung's face is like, that bitch was not being normal. Like, that was not normal. Because she, despite everything, does know him, unfortunately. So, like, I think she knows his behavior enough to know what's normal and what's not. She's like, that was not normal behavior. Also, she's paranoid.
Yeah. Little Nung's probably just like, well, he left, so that was natural.
Right. It's like, he talked directly to you. That was definitely not natural. He never does that. When Big Nung is present, he always talks through Big Nung.
But she does call him her dad. And, like, I understand that this is the custom and respectful, but he really does not deserve that title. And he should and shall forever be referred to as Chet. Or homophobia for us.
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah. And in this conversation, it's evident they're both worried about this. Because, I mean, Little Nung brought it up. But I think their reasons for being worried about the Chet thing are different. Big Nung is worried about navigating the family drama, like we keep saying. While Little Nung is worried that Big Nung is worried. That's all she's like, I don't care about my family. I'm worried about you. And if you notice in the scene where she's saying this, she's like, I think everything's fine. She's holding Big Nung's hand. And I think the reason she brought this up, it's not out of nowhere. I think when she asked Big Nung, are you going to fight for us? I think Little Nung was worried that Big Nung was going to bring up the family stuff. So I think she tried to cut in and reassure her really quickly. So she was like, hey, everything's probably fine. With my dad was being normal or whatever. And she grabs Big Nung's hand to, like, ground her. Because that tends to get Big Nung out of her head when she starts spiraling. And I think Little Nung was worried that that's where this was going. And was trying to, like... So, like, be like, stay with me in the present. Like, it's fine. Like, everything's fine. Look, I'm here. We're here. Everything's fine, kind of thing. I think that's what she's trying to do here.
That's true. I didn't even notice that.
Always notice the hand holding.
So, during this conversation, Little Nung, once again, notices how uncomfortable Big Nung is. So, she does nudge her and asks her if she is worried. Because, again, Big Nung is shutting down, and that we cannot let Big Nung shut down. So Big Nung admits that she is worried a little bit. And Little Nung is upset because the palace is supposed to be their sanctuary, where they don't have to hide and they don't have to worry about being themselves. And now Big Nung is fully worried because their sanctuary has been burned to the ground, basically. Yes. And, like, the servants know about them, right? So they don't have to worry about them being around. And Little Nung doesn't want to have to worry when they're in this palace. And Chet just destroyed their one place where they can be themselves. Because of course he did.
Yeah. And I mean... And they just got it back because, like, remember the whole thing was like, Little Nung's like, why do we have to, like, tiptoe around your palace? Why do I have to sleep in different rooms? And Big Nung's like, customs, etc. And then they cleared that up with Auntie Nim, where it's like, she's the wife of the house. That's all I gotta know. So they were finally like, that was their house again. And then here comes Chet. You know what I mean?
Here comes Chet, ruining
Here comes
everything.
Chet. Bitch.
gosh. Okay, so Little Nung tries to distract Big Nung by kissing her. But Big Nung stops her and says that they shouldn't do that stuff in plain sight.
This is a serious moment, Little Nung. How could you? That's what Big Nung's energy gave me.
But it really sucks that they can't even be yourself. Like, it would suck if you can't be yourself in your own home. Like, it's insane. Like, there's no place safe for you. And I feel like Little Nung is her only essence of home right now, because the palace, there's so much going on there between the past and now Chet's ruining the future, so anyway.
But also, to be fair, where were they in the palace? They were in the couch by the door. So, like, it was a really stupid place when you're in a closeted relationship to, like, do that. So, like, truly.
But it's their home.
I know. I your point is valid, but, like, as you see, a bit people could just walk right in, because I don't know why. We're not really sure why people could just walk in, but it happened.
Where is the security? There's a bunch of
I don't know,
around.
right? I don't know.
That's why the
How to
only
check
possible
it in.
thing is Auntie Nim was like, I'm sick of this shit. Work things out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Little Nung reminds Big Nung that they are in her bedroom, though, and like no one can see them. And then my brain went to picturing Chet in the trees with binoculars trying to spy on them because, you know, he's suspicious. And I totally see him. Well, he'd probably hire someone.
Yeah,
but then they'd probably be like, I don't feel like comfortable spying on two women in a bedroom. And then he'd be like, fine, give me them. I'll do it myself.
I wouldn't put it past him.
And Little Nung continues her advances on Big Nung. But Big Nung tells her that she is naughty and stops her, unfortunately. But Big Nung does give Little Nung a mini cookie and says, let's listen now. So let's go back to your show. Let's distract you a bit. So now she is interested.
Yeah, and I love by the end of this, first of all, Little Nung's person, she's not wrong. She's like, hey, we're in the bedroom now. Can just kiss me. And Big Nung's like, oh my God, Little Nung. My brain's spiraling. Now is not the time. But then by the end of this, when they go to listen to the show, like Big Nung the whole time, again, she always plays this game where she's like, stop. But like she's secretly pleased that Little Nung is persistent because she wants to kiss her, just because this giant grin spreads on her face. And then when they go to listen to the show, if you notice, remember earlier, it's like Little Nung was holding Big Nung's hand. By the time we cut back to this, Big Nung is like pulling Little Nung into her side and like holding onto her full arm. And, like, has her head leaned against Little Nung. So, like, Big Nung, you could have just kissed her. Like, come on now. It's cute, though.
Yeah.
It's very cute.
I don't fully understand why she didn't just kiss her, because, you know... Okay.
I think she's distracted by the drama, but then she's like, okay, let's listen to drama. Like, she's in a drama mood right now for some reason. I don't know.
It's like, let's listen to other people's drama. I'm sick of my own.
I'm sick of our drama, yeah.
So then the next day, Big Nung is dropping Little Nung off at university. And I just love that they're really making use of this car this season. Like, they're getting their money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
And Big Nung asks Little Nung if she is sure she didn't forget anything. And Little Nung pretends to be looking for something. Oh, and then cheekily, no pun intended, kisses Big Nung's cheek. Which catches Big Nung off guard because Little Nung had promised not to do things like that in public. So Little Nung was like, alright, you didn't kiss me last night, so I'm going to kiss you right now. And Little Nung quickly retreats from this, but she has this dreamy look on her face. She's like, I know what I did. She's definitely proud of herself. And then she takes pride that she has moves, because, girl, you do.
Yeah, and, like, okay, the way she, like, does that and she, like, dramatically sighs, like, where's her Emmy for drama, like, Little Nung? Because she's so dramatic about this. She's like, because remember, like, the first time she kissed Big Nung's cheek, she's like, wow, I'm going to be valedictorian if you keep letting me kiss your cheek every time I do something for school. It gave me that energy, where she's like, I just kissed you for the first time and I'm feeling all the tingly things. And Big Nung's like, for fuck's sake, like, why are you doing this?
She's being herself, Big Nung.
It's cute. She's just a young woman in love who just wants to, like, kiss her girlfriend before she goes into school. Like, you can't blame her for, like, wanting what she wants, but, like, Big Nung's paranoia is valid.
Yeah. No, definitely valid.
It's valid.
And Big Nung reminds Little Nung of her promise to not do things like this in public, and she responds that no one will see them, and it's just one kiss on the cheek. Sure, they won't see you. In a car with clear windows, in front, not even, like, to the side, in front of the school.
I'm surprised Big Nung didn't tint the windows, to be honest with you. Like you know your girlfriend at this point. Like, why did you not tint the windows?
She would
Big
definitely
Nung.
be someone who tints the windows.
Right. Like, it's weird that she doesn't tint the window. Because, like, I think in the book she inherits the car from the grandmother, but, like, it's your car now, Big Nung. You can tint the windows, like, whenever you want. I'm shocked she doesn't, because she gives me the vibe of the person who's like, I don't want people looking at me. I figured she would tint her windows. But, like,
maybe she just kept putting it off.
That would be something she'd do. Honestly, she's like, I'll get to it or whatever, and then she never does it. I could see her do that.
Until something really big happens.
And then she's like this. Tint them after this.
Yeah.
Okay, can we go back to the line where she's like, Big Nung's like, you promised me you wouldn't do, like, public displays of affection or PDA ever again. All right, I think the problem with them is that they have two different definitions of what PDA means. Like, what is public? Because I think Big Nung needed to, when she made the promise with Little Nung, A, needed to do a pinky promise, because I don't remember if that ever happened. But B, she needed to, like, write the contract out with explicit details of, like, what is public. Because I, first of all, would love this scene, because I think the negotiation between them would be hilarious, because they're coming from polar opposites when it comes to this. Because to Big Nung, I think she's like, well, public is everything outside of my bedroom. And, like,
even in the bedroom.
Sometimes the bedroom. With in the bedroom with lights on. And then anything else that's considered public. And then Little Nung is like, public to me is like within 2 feet of people I know. Because when it's strangers in malls, she's like, I don't care, we don't know these people. But if it's somebody I know, it's like within 2 feet of them, that is public. If you get 5 feet away, it's not public. Like, the negotiation would be hilarious because they have very different definitions of PDA. I would love to see them negotiating this. I think it would be so funny.
That would be funny.
It'd be really funny. Big Nung's like, outside of my room is public. And Lola's like, no.
It's like, I would never be able to kiss you.
Right.
And then she would just be, like, the day of the negotiation and the day after, it would be her, like, playing games in every single location, trying to be like, you sure this is public?
Right, exactly. She would just annoy the shit out of her. Yep, that tracks.
And Big Nung just tells her that this is the last time. Like, you're not allowed to do this again. It's important to note that so far Big Nung has been super serious about everything. There isn't really a hint of playfulness in this conversation. Like, Little Nung is making it like Big Nung is just really scared that people are going to find out because there's way too much suspicion on them at this point.
Right, exactly. But also, Big Nung is acting like she just met Little Nung for the first time ever. So it's like, girl, you should know at this point the unspoken rules of the give a mouse a cookie game. Because it then, after she does this, it then cuts to Little Nung's face. And, like, this is the face of a mouse that wants another cookie. Because Little Nung looks personally offended that Big Nung would deny her another kiss. And, like, again, and it's Big Nung, the woman who said, I dare not displease you. Little Nung's, how dare you deny me my cookies? I want my cookie.
And then Little Nung says, you're not going to kiss me back?
The audacity of her to say this. After Big Nung's like, you promised me. What I don't like in this conversation is that Little Nung really dismisses the promise she made to Big Nung, and I don't like that. But the
she's
audacity.
Done that a couple times now.
I know.
Between that and then also the age jokes thing.
Yep. I know. I don't love that when she does the things like that. I get why she's doing it, but like from Big Nung's point of view, it's like, you know.
I don't know. I wonder if it's like a way to show that she is younger still.
Maybe. I can see that. Or it's just like, again, it's like her persistence. Like, persistence is a hallmark of her character. And like, her persistence is what gets Big Nung out of her shell. So like, sometimes like, it's a good thing because that's how Big Nung grows. But like, when she's like, I'm dead serious about this, don't do it. Like, it comes off as disrespectful sometimes from Big Nung's point of view that Little Nung just like dismisses her like very valid concerns all the time. But like, you know, it's her persistence as part of her character.
But because of this, it causes Big Nung to whip her head, like fully, towards Little Nung. And she says, "What?" And Little Nung responds by poking her cheek and tells her if she doesn't do it, she won't go to class and will just sit in the car.
And really, this scene just adds to my hypothesis that Little Nung is actively trying to out them, and she's been trying to do this for a while. I think that's why she, like, ignores the promise. And like I said, I don't appreciate how she dismisses Big Nung's very real concerns about this. Like, I understand Little Nung wants to kiss Big Nung, or wants a kiss from Big Nung, because it's Big Nung. Why would you not? But, like, respect your girlfriend's wishes. Like, now is not the time for games. And, like, she's so serious right now. And, like, was literally telling you last night she's worried about this stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, this is just definitely a time that shows Little Nung's youth and
her immaturity.
Like, she is emotional mature, but, like, there are times where you're just going to be more immature because of your age. I mean, even older too, but
she's a young woman in love. Like, this is, she just wants to feel all her happy feelings. And I don't blame her for any of this. Just, like, I don't like when she, like, ignores Big Nung's, like wishes sometimes when it comes to, like, the boundaries.
Especially when they talk about them.
Exactly. Right. Like, they have explicit conversations, and then Little Nung is always just trying to push.
Yeah. And when Big Nung is still resistant, Little Nung continues pushing by playfully mentioning that it is getting late and she is going to be scolded because she's not going to school because Big Nung did not give her a kiss.
And, like, while this is funny, it's like she's guilt tripping Big Nung, which is like this is 100% on brand for Little Nung to be like, well, if you don't give me my cookie, I'll be late, and it's gonna be all your fault. But I feel badly for Big Nung because she's for being put into this position, like we said, after repeatedly asking Little Nung not to do this. So I feel bad for Big Nung.
And they just talked about this.
I know,
exactly, like, not even 5 seconds ago.
Not even 5 seconds ago. But I wonder if Little Nung feels comfortable playing these games with Big Nung because of all the cookies she's gotten so far. So, like, Big Nung's been enabling this behavior is the other thing. Like, even though Big Nung does these things, she never, like, stays mad or grumpy with Little Nung for long, and usually gives the mouse the cookie and, like, caves in. So, like, at the end of the day, I think Little Nung's like, you're gonna give me what I want because you love me. Because, like, Big Nung at the end of the day just wants to make Little Nung happy. So, like, even though she's uncomfortable, like, she still usually does it. So I think Little Nung has gotten used to this pattern, this enabling behavior that Big Nung does. So she's like, it'll be fine. She's just going to do it. But while I was on this train of thought, I realized that the two of them have opposing instincts when it comes to conflict. And I may have brought this up a little bit earlier, but I thought this was interesting. Because, like, this came to my brain when we were talking about Affair, the series. And, like, I was like, oh, wait, this kind of applies to them. So I wonder if Little Nung understands Big Nung's initial trauma response is flight. Okay, so when she's confronted with a big challenge, Big Nung shuts down and runs away, like flight, like the flight or fight response. Big Nung is flight. Because, like, what happened with Chet and all that stuff? She left. The grandmother, she left the palace. Like, she runs away. That's her initial instinct. Which is interesting if you think about Little Nung. As Little Nung is growing into her adulthood, like, which we've seen more so in the second half of the season when she's, like, on her own, quote unquote, like, kind of in university, like, becoming an adult, stepping into that role and gaining autonomy in situations, she's showing her true colors, and her initial instinct is fight, not flight. But unlike in Affair, Big Nung and Little Nung aren't 100% on these sides of the spectrum. Like, if you go watch Affair, like, Plang and Juan Viva are, like, very rigid in their flight or fight responses when it comes to conflicts. These two are not like that. They're kind of like on those spectrums, but they have the ability to meet in the middle when it comes to like what to do and how to handle a conflict. Do we do flight? Do we do fight? Do we make a compromise? It's another way that they balance each other out, and why I find their relationship so fascinating. And this flight or fight thing will become relevant later on in the episode, like the second half. Because if you notice, when they're together, like in this situation, like, again, they're talking about a conflict, they're talking about something scary, they kind of like meet in the middle, okay, when they're together. And it strengthens them because they can take both of their strengths. Because like flight and fight, as in instincts, have their like merit, right? Some situations do call for you to stand up and fight versus other situations do call for like a more like, and let me take a step back and evaluate this kind of approach. And that's Big Nung and Little Nung. So like when they have their combined strengths together, they're a formidable team. But when you isolate them, they fall back into their fight only or flight only response, and like they're not as adaptable to like conflict. So I like that it's kind of like, to me it kind of became apparent here, but then when we later on in the episode, when we isolate them and they're in conflicts, you see that like on their own they're not as they're not as strong, but like together they're much stronger because they have these combined responses, which is interesting. So I think that Little Nung, perhaps in this scene, to bring it back to this scene, Big Nung's like flighting. She's like, no, we can't do anything, blah, blah, blah. But Little Nung's like, no, come on, like, meet me in the middle. It'll be real quick. And then, like, you know what I mean? But it backfires.
Yeah, it doesn't. So, Big Nung, oh my gosh. Big Nung knows that Little Nung is persistent and won't let this go because she never lets things go.
No.
So she begins to lean over, but then tells Little Nung she is too far. So Little Nung turns to her and puts her chin on her hand and asks, am I close enough? And
can we talk about how this exchange was so fucking funny? Because, like, okay, so Big Nung, like, after Little Nung's like, well, I'm gonna be late, it's gonna be your fault, basically is what she says. She guilt trips her into doing this. And Big Nung's like, oh my god, I don't want you to be late for school. So she resigns to the fact that she has to do this thing she really doesn't want to do. Otherwise, Little Nung's gonna get in trouble, and then it's gonna, quote, be her fault. So then she struggles to position herself across the car and then complains to Little Nung, you're too far away. Like, she's basically like, if you're gonna insist on me doing this, you have to like meet me halfway. Meanwhile, Little Nung lunged across the console to quickly kiss Big Nung 5 seconds ago, and Big Nung's like, this is too hard, I don't it's too much work. Like, I love that she's a grumpy 30-year-old sometimes, and she just makes me laugh so hard. She's like, I'm not as flexible as you damn youth. Like,
also, you're the one who wants this. Come
right.
here.
Is really what it is. She's like, you wanted this, you gotta, like, do this. So then, without saying anything, Little Nung she goes across the console, it gets right in Big Nung's space with this expectant look, and that's when she's like, am I close enough now? Like, Big Nung's, like, breathing on her. And she, like, and she's making direct eye contact, like, challenging Big Nung, and is, again, trying to get more than one cookie here. And she's basically like, give me a kiss on the lips is the implication, because she's like positioning herself facing Big Nung. And Big Nung, to her credit, does not take the bait because she agreed to one cookie, not a dozen. And just like this whole ordeal, Big Nung looks so annoyed, and it's just hilarious. It's so funny.
Little Nung is being peak Little Nung here. Like,
yeah, this is the mouse cookie game.
Little Nung right now.
I love that we keep bringing back their original personalities. Like, they didn't totally change, and their old dynamic is still here. This is Little Nung being like, I took a cookie, and Big Nung's like, god damn it, no more cookies for you. And Big Nung's like, but you owe me a cookie because I gave you a cookie. Big Nung's like, fine, I'll give you a cookie. And then Big Nung's like, give me 12. And she's like, no more cookies. Stop with the cookies.
So Big Nung reminds her that she only promised one cookie. And she moves Little Nung's head forward because the deal was a cheek kiss, not a kiss.
Right. It's so funny. But again, Little Nung always gets more cookies than in the bargain. Okay, always. Because what happens here? Big Nung doesn't just do like a super quick peck to appease her and be like, get out of here. She gives her a full, like, a giant cookie here, because while it's a chaste cheek kiss, Big Nung does linger in the kiss, because let's be real, like, she also, despite the protests, despite the paranoia, like, she is paranoid and stuff like that, because deep down she also just wants to be able to kiss her girlfriend before she goes to school, because Big Nung is the one who's always like, I have to be the last person she sees before she goes in the building, and the first person she sees when she emerges. She 100% is that person who's like, I want to kiss her before she leaves. So, like, when given the opportunity, she does do it, and, like, you can tell that, like, Big Nung is, like, feeling all of her feelings in the kiss. Like, she's not denying herself that. Like, yeah, it's to, like, complete the give a mouse a cookie game, but also, like, Big Nung wants to do it, is the other thing.
Yes, because if they had a choice, they would never take their hands off of each other.
Yeah, no, the Big Nung, I'm pretty sure, would go into class with her if she had the choice and just, like, hold her hand in class. They're so codependent. I can see Big Nung doing that. And then the teacher's like, do you want a guest lecture? And she's like, I don't know a goddamn thing about economics or whatever this class is, but sure. Anyway. So, okay, let's talk about we're still on the kiss, though. So while Big Nung is feeling all her feelings and lingering in this kiss, Little Nung is spellbound and, like, stays, like, in her position after Big Nung pulls away, and then Big Nung goes back to being worried, but Little Nung's like, the magic of kisses. Like, she's just so happy because, like, that's all she wants. She just wants a normal relationship where she can, like, do PDA. And this isn't even really PDA, it's in the car, so it is, like, semi-private, you know? Like, it's not like they're in front of her classroom doing this. It's like they're in the car. Like, this is a reasonable, like, modest PDA thing. Like, again, for somebody like Big Nung who thinks eating food is porn, like, this is modest, you know? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a modest cookie. And now that Little Nung got her cookie, Big Nung's like, all right, deal has been met. Go to class.
Yeah.
On with the day. And Little Nung does comply because she did get her cookie. And then we cue the creep. Because, of course, we do.
Of course we do.
And there is an ominous person in the shadows. And they are taking photos of them in the car. But he is literally right in front of the car. And not really hidden. So, like, Nung Squared is really not observant. Because there are bars. This person is not hidden.
Yeah, this person is
And the
visible.
car is super close.
Yeah.
So I don't fully get it. But okay.
I think that, like, they're so wrapped up in each other that they don't see anything. And that's part of the implication. Because, like, that's part of the problem. Like, they, especially Little Nung. Little Nung is in the love bubble and sees nothing else outside of it. Big Nung is paranoid, but, like, when Little Nung sucks her in, like, that kiss, Big Nung just goes into the bubble and is like, I am happy in the bubble with you. Like, she is. So, like, I think she just, you know, is not thinking clearly when it comes to Little Nung. But I agree, this person is not hidden at all. Like, they're just right in front of the car.
No. Like, it's pretty ridiculous.
I mean, they got away with it, so I guess kudos to you, creeper.
Yeah, that is
you know,
terrible.
it worked.
Also, no one else saw this person taking photos of people
in front of a school
car.
and thought it was weird. It's a school. Children go here. I guess it's not. It's a university. Young adults are here. It's still creepy. Yeah. Where's the school security?
It's still, no matter what you do, taking photos of people in a car is weird.
Yes. PSA, I guess.
Okay, so school's out now, I assume. Unless this is another day. Who knows? And Little Nung has accompanied Big Nung to the gallery.
Yes, and so we get a different angle of the gallery, which I assume we're looking at Big Nung's office because there's, like, a desk. So, like, let's talk about this office. First of all, very modern. It's, like, right in the middle of the gallery. So there's no privacy. So good job, Sam, on picking this office. Remember, it's just a blank space. There's no walls. All right, so let's just talk about this real quick. So I see on her desk there's a computer. Does she know how to use it? We have no evidence on screen that she can, but I'm hoping Little Nung can teach her. There's, like, a picture of her...
for the screensavers.
All right, it's a picture of her own artwork as the desktop. Is this thing connected to the internet, though? Who knows? We don't know. There's no evidence that she ever uses it, but there's a computer. But a comedy aside, that just makes me giggle because of my headcanons about Big Nung and technology. Let's talk about the artwork on the wall, which is really interesting. So some of it is from season 1, like the artwork she had in her like home art room back when they first kind of met. But I think the positioning of the artwork here is really interesting. So if you look at in the frame, it's like the first shot of like them in the office, right? And Big Nung's on like right hand side of the frame, Little Nung's on the left hand side of the frame, and there's artwork kind of in between them. So you look at Little Nung. Little Nung is closest to this picture of like I think a jaguar. I don't know. It's a jungle, some kind of jungle cat. And then Big Nung, the picture closest to her is like this very excited puppy. So like it's them in artwork, and I love that Big Nung is near the happy, excited puppy, which is Little Nung, and then Big Nung is next to the stoic queen of the jungle cat, which is Big Nung. So I love the positioning of the artwork because I'm like, cute, because like Big Nung put it there, so I wonder if it's like Little Nung, Big Nung on the wall, which is real cute.
That's adorable. This also is a very, very cute dog, but they missed a prime opportunity to paint Sunny and have Sunny on the wall.
That would have been cute. I don't know if she had Sunny when they were filming this.
Oh.
Or coming up with the decorum, who knows. Sunny's a baby.
Oh, I love Sunny. Anyway.
That's Fi's dog, if you had no idea what we're talking about. Fi has a dog, and the dog has its own Instagram, if you didn't know. And he's a very cute, like, Pomeranian-type dog who's very spoiled by his mommy.
And very, 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 very cute. And I just want to hug Sunny.
It's very fluffy.
So, now to the scene. Big Nung asks Little Nung what she wants to eat for dinner, and she says that she's going to have Auntie Nim prepare it. So, I think... Okay, so first of all... Sorry, my brain just did not work. Speaking of food, I think if Little Nung hated Masa Man curry, Big Nung would never eat again. She would never have Auntie Nim prepare it. Auntie Nim would be like, what the hell is going on? But Big Nung wouldn't eat it. She'd be like, what do you want for dinner, love? That was just a side note.
Now, I love that Big Nung is asking Little Nung what she wants for dinner so she can have it made for her. It's like very husband behavior. It's very cute, which I love, to your point. But also, Big Nung, bitch, you can cook. Why aren't you making her food? Be like, I'll make it for you. I guess she's like past that. She's like, I'm a working woman now with an actual steady income, so I gotta work. I can't make food for you anymore.
That, and she's too busy staring at Little Nung.
Right. Does Big Nung still make meals for Little Nung? Like, occasionally. I know Auntie Nim is there probably doing it bulk of the time because that's legit her job. But does, like, Big Nung ever cook for Little Nung anymore? Like she did when she was, like, courting her back in the day, you know? I just wonder because she could cook.
That's a good question.
Questions that need answers.
Maybe they just cook a lot together now.
Well, Little Nung knows how to cook now. How cute would that be if they actually, like, do cook together? I can see them doing that in the future where they're... Because, like, Little Nung's not going to let Big Nung be in the kitchen by herself. She'll be, like, with her and, like, helping.
Everything will burn because Little Nung's just trying to distract Big Nung. I could see that whole day.
Oh, yeah, also. And then Auntie Nim comes in and is like, get out of my kitchen. Get out of my kitchen.
It's like, you guys are
get out
in the kitchen?
Yeah, you're both banned. No Nungs in this kitchen.
But Little Nung asked for a crab meat curry with fermented rice noodles.
That sounds so good.
And I would like to try it. I would like to try any of Auntie Nim's cooking, actually. Or, you know, any of the food on this show.
Seriously. Now, that sounds actually incredible. Good choice, Little Nung. But I also love that she adds that it's been a while since she had it last. So it implies that she's eating over at the palace a lot and even has favorite dishes that Auntie Nim makes. So I love that implication from the line also.
Well, she's definitely being fed at the palace.
I know, but it's just like, she's there a lot. Because again, time passes and we don't see everything on screen. So that's just an indication that, like, she has favorite dishes now.
Yeah, that's true. But unfortunately, we can't have nice things.
No.
So,
no.
Pinga randomly shows up. And she says she wants to eat it too. No one asked you.
Okay, first of all, that line out of context. amazing. Just amazing. But also, she makes me laugh so much in this scene because some of her lines are just fucking hilarious and like out of nowhere. So the fact that she comes in out of nowhere and then invites herself to dinner with them is super rude, actually. Like, she's just like, I will come with you to dinner. And they're like, no hello, no hi, Pinga. It's just like, I'm inviting myself to dinner with you guys. That's kind of weird. It's
really like, okay, weird. Bitch, when'd you even get to this side of the world?
I know, like, no, it's just out of nowhere. Like, oh my god. And then, whew. Finally, though, okay, so remember how in the prior scene, Big Nung's like, hey, Little Nung, PDA, I'm worried about all this shit. Your family's freaking me out. And Little Nung's like, whatever, kiss me in public. Now Pinga shows up, and finally, Little Nung actually looks worried. Because she's like, Chet was being totally normal, even though Big Nung's like, he's being weird. And then now Mom's here out of nowhere. And I think she's like, oh, fuck, the weird shit is happening. I think it finally hit her that, like, something weird's going on. Something weird's happening. What the fuck is happening? Because, like, this bitch never just shows up out of nowhere. She doesn't call her daughter. Nothing.
Why are you here? Circling now.
Yeah, now she's like, let me invite myself to dinner with the two of you to break up your date.
She needs to win her girl back.
She says.
So, Little Nung rightfully asks why she is here, which is everybody's wondering this now.
Literally. Why are you here? How did you get here?
And
how long you staying?
Not long. She never stays that long.
I mean, I assume she has a job back in wherever she actually lives. So, like, how could you just take this time off? You know what I mean? Like, how did she arrange this? Huh?
What is time? Time is a construct.
Right, it's true. We don't know.
What if she controls time? Pinga controls time.
So now we're in the reverse for you series.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Wrong author. But also, anything is possible.
So Pinga's upset that neither of them are happy to see her. What did you expect?
Girl.
You come in and you just ruin everything.
Again, I heard lines, and this the gem of a line when she's like, why can't you guys be happier to see me? Like, she's just, it's like, girl, you show up out of nowhere, and then you're mad they're not happier to see you. You're like, girl.
I've never been happy to see you. Ever.
No, not ever. Not ever. To Little Nung's credit, though, she does try to smile when Pinga shows up. But it's very quick, and it only lasts a fraction of a second before she goes back to being worried because her parents are being weird, and it's finally becoming apparent to her that they're being weird. And, like, she's keeping a giant secret from them. So, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So Pinga says that she misses Little Nung, and then she tells her to give her a hug. I'm like, why don't you ask for a hug?
Well, okay, you're right. She says, give me a hug. But if you notice with Pinga in this scene, and even now, she's not trying to, like, control Little Nung or dehumanize her the way that Chet does. Because let's go back to Chet's scene. Chet ignores her until it's convenient for him, and then he's like, are you staying here? How long are you staying here? Don't go to bed late, and then leaves. And then, meanwhile, Pinga's just like, I missed my daughter. Hug me. Like, she's showing her genuine affection in this scene, which, like, her family doesn't normally do. And I wonder if, you know, because, again, I think that a lot of the affection from Pinga is actually genuine. It's not manipulative the way Chet comes off as manipulative. But I wonder in the scene if, like, she's being very, like, touchy-feely with... Because she hugs her twice. Like, she's being very touchy-feely with Little Nung. And I wonder if it's because, like, the grandmother's not around. And so... that's who controls Pinga, and gets in her head and makes her feel like a child. So I wonder if, like, this is actually Pinga, like, with, like, being, like, doing what she wants to do with her own daughter. You know what I mean? Like, she's
that's true, because
being more real in the scene.
Her, we saw her become more
childlike. Remember, she regresses in front of her mother.
Yeah,
like
regression. That's what the word. When the grandmother came in, and she was no longer really acting like Little Nung's mom again.
Yeah, I will definitely bring up that scene throughout this conversation. The one from where I think it's 104 or 105, where Big Nung orchestrates the dinner to like be like, we need to talk about Little Nung because she ran away and I cannot have that. So you guys had to figure this shit out. And in that scene, it was the grandmother, Pingfa, Little Nung, Big Nung, and Pingfa in the dinner was like, hey, I want her to come with me because I want the mother-daughter relationship we never had. And it's, you know, she's becoming an adult. It's becoming too late. I want to do it now before it's too late. And the grandmother's like, why? You're going to take her away so she could get pregnant like you? Like, just immediately, like, it dismisses what Pingfa wants, infantilizes her, and then, like, in front of Big Nung and, you know, the queen and, like, her daughter. And, like, Pingfa's in a shitty position, like, constantly because, like, her mother doesn't see her. I don't think her mother really sees her as a functioning adult either. And it's like, so I like this scene because it's away from the grandmother. So I feel like this is Pingfa being herself and actually being the mother she always wanted to be in this scene. Because, like, we brought up Chet. Chet abandoned Little Nung. Whereas, like, Pingfa was forced away from her by her own mother. So, like, I think the mother-daughter relationship she seeks is genuine. I think she does actually want that with Little Nung. Whereas Chet is just like property. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're coming at it from two different angles. Like when they're like intent on parenting this person. There's more love coming from Pingfa.
You can definitely tell she's lighter and smiles at Little Nung. You can see the love there, where you can see the using through Chet and just the controlling through the grandmother.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
but Pinga,
exactly.
You do see it, and like her eyes really show that
Yeah.
she does care about Little Nung.
Yeah,
and
she hugs her twice in this scene. Like, I think Pingfa, and I think, and again, what does Big Nung do in this scene? She closes up and like watches all of this. So I think that's why she knows that like like in the end, she's like, Pingfa's the bridge to all of this, because Pingfa actually seems to care about Little Nung on like a person-to-person level more so than anybody else, where everybody else sees her as more like property. Pingfa doesn't seem to see her as property. It's like she pulls her role as mom and I have the right to do whatever I want when she's like trying to get the mother-daughter relationship, but like I don't think she's doing it in the same way that like Chet and the grandmother do it, if that makes sense.
She wants to be her mom, but she doesn't fully know how to be because she's never had that example.
Right. Her example was terrible and toxic. And then, like, again, you're coming at this 20 years later, or, you know what I mean, where Little Nung's an adult. And, you know, but Pingfa, she tones it down in this scene, you know.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, you can see that she just truly cares about Little Nung.
Yeah,
and
she cares.
Like you said, Big Nung. Okay, so Little Nung looks to Big Nung during all of this, and Big Nung crosses her arms, and it closes her off to the situation going on, letting the mother and daughter have their own moment. Mm-hmm. But it also is another thing showing that she feels like an outsider to this family. Like, she doesn't belong to be a part of this right now.
Right.
And Little Nung and Big Nung both look uncomfortable that Pingfa is there. And that is totally valid. Yeah.
Like, Pingfa's track record, I would also be like, oh God, the harbinger of doom. What are you doing here? Every time you show up, something bad happens.
What family drama are we bringing up now?
What bad juju is going on with you? Yeah, exactly. Okay, but I want to talk about the first hug that they do. Because like I said, Pingfa hugs her twice because I think Pingfa really just loves her daughter. Okay, but let's talk about the first hug. So while they're in the hug, so it takes Little Nung a minute to be like, okay, and like hug her mom back. So because Pingfa kind of initiates the hug. But while they're in the hug, we cut over to Little Nung's reaction of being in this hug with Pingfa. And at first she looks uncomfortable for all the reasons you just stated, because it's her mom. But after a second, she looks up at Pingfa and genuinely smiles. Okay. In the same way that just like Big Nung, because again, remember these two, Big Nung and Little Nung have a lot of similarities, but sometimes they like express things differently. But this is something else they have in common, is that like Big Nung, Little Nung has also built up her own emotional walls. Namely against people or situations that are going to like reject her, namely her parents, okay? Because she was abandoned by both parents. You know, I will use air quotes, abandoned, you know, by her parents. And so, like, she's particularly defensive around them, for rightly so, because they hurt her in the past and just, like, completely rejected her. And, like, she's brought up many times to Pinga. She's like, you never call me or seem to want to talk to me. It's only when you want something. And, like, Chet does the same thing. We've gone through why Pinga does what she does. I won't get into that here. But, like, from Little Nung's point of view, she feels abandoned by them, which makes sense. Chet actually chose it, and then Pinga was forced to by the grandmother. But because of that, she has these walls around her family members, or, like, you know, quote, her parents. And I think that, like, from the show, we've seen a lot of, especially with Chet, Pinga too, we've seen this brazen dismissal from Little Nung about her parents, right? And I think it stems from this trauma of being abandoned by both of them in her mind. She sees them as strangers. She said it over and over again. Remember, Pinga's like, move in with me. She's like, I don't know you. That'd be weird. And then, like, Chet, she's like, I don't know you either. I don't want anything from you, right? She doesn't fully trust them at the end of the day. Like, they abandoned her. Like, I don't blame her I think this is all trauma-based when it comes to, like, their abandonment.
And she's like, why should I get close to them if they might just leave again?
Correct, exactly. So she does a lot of that old behavior in the scene, right? Pinga comes in and immediately Little Nung's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, looks suspicious, doesn't trust any of this. So that's why her initial reaction is wariness. She doesn't trust her mother. But then in the hug, we see her smile. So why does she do that? So to quote the Little Nung Whisperer, or to, you know, paraphrase, Little Nung wants acceptance. And part of that acceptance is to be loved. So, like, deep down, she does want to be loved by her parents, namely Pinga, I think. But, like, she doesn't trust them because they abandoned her. So it's, you know, it's one of those things where it's like you want the thing you can't have. So, like, she is extra defensive around them. And I think what this moment is showing, where she looks up at her mother and, like, looks happy that she's getting a hug from her mother, she's getting loved, I think it shows that deep down, like, that is what she wants. Little Nung does want acceptance and genuine love from her family. She's just been denied it her whole life, which is the heartbreaking part. Because we know, and Big Nung knows, Little Nung is this beautiful soul who deserves all the love in the world. And I think that Big Nung knows deep down, Little Nung wants unconditional love from her family, which is why Big Nung behaves the way she does around Little Nung's family. That's why you see her being passive in this scene, because she's like, Pinga's hugging her. Like, she knows Little Nung wants that, even though she won't voice it out loud. And, like, Big Nung wants that for her, too, because we've gone through the whole journey with Big Nung where she realizes the importance of family and things like that, like, despite differences and all that kind of stuff. And she's, like, wants what's best for Little Nung. So, there's that.
Little Nung deserves all the love.
She does. She's a beautiful person and just deserves it. But it's so sad that she was basically denied unconditional love her entire life until, like, Big Nung comes along and is the only person that really does show her unconditional. It's never strings attached with Big Nung. It's always like, you're annoying sometimes, but I accept that about you and I still love you. Like, she never tries to control her, force her into a box. Like, she just lets her be and listens to her. And that's the first person that ever really did that to her.
And it makes sense why their bond is so strong now. Because they both need that, and they're both that person for each other.
Ooh, we will get into it later on. Big Nung gets triggered in the way that Little Nung gets triggered with, like, the dehumanizing. Because, like, you're right, Big Nung also seeks that acceptance for, like, who she is. And the only person we see in the show that gives that to her besides Little Nung is Sam. Sam knows her. Sam loves her no matter what. Like, she's always, like, stealing money from Sam. Sam's like, whatever, I still love you. Like that's unconditional love. Like, Sam is the unconditional love person in Big Nung's life. But, like, Little Nung doesn't have the equivalent of a Sam. Like, she's just, it's heartbreaking that she's the most alone person. Like,
yeah, she is the most isolated. She has no one except Big Nung.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, there's Folk and Yui now.
Now. 21 years later. Now. Exactly. That's the sad part. She spent 20 years just, like, alone. That, and how she showed up to, and how she, like, developed into this, like, empathetic, loving person is crazy. Because, like, and Big Nung asked her, she's like, why aren't you a cynical asshole like me? Like, you were so more traumatized than me. And look at you, like, it's wild. Like, it would have been really interesting to get this story from her point of view, just because like her journey is like super isolated. Like, I would have loved to just been in her head sometimes, because like, yeah, she's amazing. Like, what a strong person to be who she is, despite her upbringing, which was like really traumatizing.
Seriously. And like, not only did her parents abandon her, they abandoned her and she had to be with her grandmother, who hurt her.
Yeah, and isolated her more.
Yeah. It was a lot. And yeah, this girl.
It's amazing.
It's probably one of the strongest people that we've seen in any of these shows.
That I've ever seen on screen. Like, just in general, she's this very strong character, and like gets dismissed as being childish and immature. And it's like, her strength is actually quite like, her character strength is astounding, really, if you really take the time to look at her.
To finally feel safe enough and comfortable and not have to worry constantly, to be able to act like a child like that. That means that she is truly connected to the person. Like, that just shows how much Big Nung eases all of Little Nung's issues. And not issues, but like worries and problems going on. She doesn't have to worry about that.
Right. And so then, from her point of view, it totally makes sense why she fights so fiercely for this relationship, because it literally changed her life. Like, she never had somebody in her life that really loved her or treated her like a person the way Big Nung does. So, like, to go 20 years without that, then finally have it, why would you not fight like hell for that? You know, like...
And if she were to lose Big Nung, she would have nothing.
Nothing. Literally nothing. She'd be back where she started from, but worse, because it's one of those things where it's like, she knows what it's like to have the thing that was missing, and now it's taken away from her. Forget it. Like,
I don't think her mental health could recover from it. I think it would be, what's that person's name? In like an Ern situation.
A what?
From...
Oh, yeah, from The Secret of Us? Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll get there, because Little Nung starts going down that route. Like, she starts getting extreme.
I don't think that she could go back.
No. I think she'd be traumatized forever. In the way that, like, Big Nung traumatized her forever with the, I was using you for sex.
You know, Big Nung.
Big Nung!
We apologize for you. Like, we can...
I love
gloss
you,
over so many things, but that was really bad.
That was despicable. I hope you feel guilty about that forever. I know why you did it. I understand the motivations. But, like, Little Nung was never going to be the same again after that. Like, that is you broke a perfectly good heart. Like, that was scarring, what she did. I understand why, but like...
Little Nung brings it up as like a joke later to like...
I hope she of all the things she guilt trips Big Nung over, I hope she guilt trips her over that forever, because there's no forgiving that. Like, that was terrible what she did. But I think Little Nung's too nice.
No, I'm just picturing like 25 years later. They wake up. Little Nung just...
Oh, like, you're still here.
No. Should we reset?
Oh my god, that would be so funny. Big Nung's like, we're literally legally married. What do you mean?
And then, like, yeah, Big Nung just like hits her with a pillow, says, "Go back to sleep."
I could see that.
All right, but back to the scene.
We're
really good at getting on topic with talking.
We're not off topic. We're talking about Big Nung and Little Nung.
But like,
I just love them so much. I can't help it.
That's fair. I mean, that's why we are how many hours into talking about the show?
So many. I'm pretty sure by the end of this, you could definitely list a Blake content for at least 24 hours. At least.
Oh my gosh, Theora, no. We have at least like 3 hours each episode at this point. I'm pretty sure it's at least like 3 days.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Because our Warrior Nun content was 24 hours, like just our discussions.
Yeah.
That was one season. So, we'll see. Anyway.
Warrior Nun was 2. Anyway,
No, so this is a side tangent. Season 1 we did in 2 episodes, and then season 2 we did each episode. So like that's what I mean. We basically just did one season.
I don't remember shit apparently.
I know.
I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. It's because I made a playlist for it. That's the only reason I know.
It's a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to the scene.
Back to the scene.
And to a moment that I don't understand in general why this happens.
Pinga's on a roll. That's all I gotta say.
Pinga tells little Nung that she looks a lot more grown up without her glasses. And what is the thing with these glasses? This is now 2 seasons that we've brought up that little Nung looks older, but if she's not wearing glasses.
Okay. Okay. Is this just to show that Pinga's out of touch with little Nung? Because it might be. But also, my question is, why is she bringing this up and saying this? Like, oh, you look grown up without your glasses. It's like, girl, you've seen her without her glasses on. Like, remember, let us go back to season 1. Remember when Big Nung was like, wow, little Nung, you let other people see the surprise, which is you without your glasses? And Pinga's like, yeah, I kept the secret. Like, she already has seen this. So why is she bringing this up now? Like, I don't understand why she's bringing this up. Like,
okay, so I think it's kind of like the thing where, like, with children, like, you see them, and then, like, they go away for, like, a short amount of time. You're like, you look like you've grown.
Yeah,
because, like,
right.
they're just growing so fast, and
Right.
she's not around to see it. But yeah, the glasses thing is weird.
Yeah, I think this is also like, because we all know why Pinga's here. Why Pinga came out of the blue. She's worried about Big Nung and Little Nung are getting it on, which they are. And so I wonder if this is a moment where she's like, oh shit, you're not a child anymore. Like, you really are an adult. So, like, the fact that you're in a romantic relationship with somebody, like, I think it's like, okay, again, because remember the parents are coming from the scenario of, like, I want to parent you 20 years later. I think Pinga is the first to realize she's not a child. I think that's what this line is really trying to say. She's like, wow, look at you. Because, like, in her brain, like you said, she doesn't see her often. For some reason, they don't FaceTime a lot. I don't know, whatever.
It doesn't exist, Theora.
I feel like Pinga was forbade from doing a lot of things because of the grandmother. That's my guess. But, like, who knows how often she sees, you know, like, pictures of Little Nung, right? So, like, the last time she saw her, she was in high school. Now she's in college. And look at the visual. She's in her university uniform. Like, she's got makeup on. Like, standing next to Big Nung. Like, and she's under the assumption that they're dating and doesn't know about that. And she's like, wow, my daughter is a woman. I think that's what this moment is for her. She's like, wow, you really aren't a child. I'm seeing it. Because, like, in her brain, it's still, like, probably, like, the baby she gave up. You know what I mean? And, like,
yeah,
your daughter's a woman.
And, well, she's trying to hold on to that as well because, again, she wants that.
She wants that.
She lost it, and now she's seeing it. But yeah, that's a great point, because this is the first person to really see Little Nung as
an adult. Yeah, I think it's Pinga. I think that's what this is. I think she's really like, wow, okay, my daughter's a woman. She's an adult. Like, wow. That's a lot to, like, because, I mean, she came in being like, get away from my daughter, and now she's like, my daughter's a woman. Yeah. But why the glasses?
Well, there's some growth.
Why the glasses, though? You can have glasses and be an adult.
Is that in the book?
I don't know that this line is in there. I cannot recall the Pinga stuff later, but, like, the glasses stuff is definitely in the book.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Because it's Chow being like, she's not a child anymore. It's like the way she's symbolizing her coming into adulthood in a way, like, physically, like, we could physically see the change. So it is from the book, yeah.
Okay.
I was just like, Pinga, you were there when she got the LASIK. I was like, why are you bringing that you were there? Anyway, I think this is I'm seeing my daughter as she's not a child kind of moment.
But then we go on to her saying that she is as beautiful as she is.
Pinga's on a roll.
Girl, really is just giving herself a compliment at this
point. It's a backhanded compliment.
I'm like, and then as you were talking before, I'm like, how is Theora gonna spin this one?
I can't. This is a straight up backhanded compliment. But I also wonder if she's panicking kind of. She's like, oh my god, my daughter's a woman. And she's a hot woman. Damn. My G. She's hot like me? All right. I'm kind of proud of you. I think she's proud of her daughter in a way.
But
she's
I love that she's taking all the credit. And
yeah, I love
Chet
it.
has nothing to do with it.
No, he doesn't. We all know that. This is all you, Pinga. Yeah, but that was really funny. Again, all of Pinga's lines are hilarious in the beginning of this. I'm just like, what? Are you okay? She's jet lagged. She's just like, wow, like, you know, she needs a nap. I think
Pinga doesn't really have a filter. I feel like
no,
these are just
she
her
does.
thoughts.
Neither does Little Nung, so she's a lot like her mother.
She's a lot like her mother. Maybe it's just the way the grandmother raises them.
Well, because think about it, like, Pinga went after Big Nung because she was, like, romantically into her, and so did Little Nung. Chet was just like, you're a trophy wife. So, like, she does take more after her mother than her father. She just gets,
which is a good thing.
Which is a great thing. She just gets that audacity from Chet, I think. I
don't know. Pinga has some audacity, too.
She has a lot of audacity, you're right. She gets the confidence from Chet and the audacity from Pinga.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, that's about it. She gets nothing else from Chet. And as it should be.
Yes, that is needed.
Moving on.
But this is when Big Nung finally gets tired of Pinga's bullshit and asks when she got back. Because, you know, she didn't say anything about coming back. And Pinga was like, it wouldn't have been a surprise if she told them she was coming back. They don't want it. They don't want any more of your surprises, girl.
I think people in this show, I can't remember if this is a novel with the surprises, I think they overestimate how much people want to be surprised. like nobody wants surprises. Like, Little Nung has had enough surprises in her lifetime. She doesn't need any more. Stop it.
I don't know if it was just, like, the time period or what, but according to, like, the Loyal Pin, surprises aren't really a thing there.
It's a Western thing.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's changed since Loyal Pin days or if it was just, like, changed or something for the Loyal Pin.
Yeah, I wonder if it's, like, integrated as a thing now, like adopted into the culture kind of thing. But yeah, like, stop surprising these women. Like, please just stop it. They don't want that. Nobody has ever said
surprises.
Enough. Okay, enough. But also, I love that Pinga's like, oh, I just came to surprise you. And Big Nung, of course, is super suspicious of this because Pinga lives an ocean away. Like, she can't just drop by on a whim just to surprise you out of nowhere. So, like, this has to be planned. So she's like, I smell bullshit. And I don't know.
I smell bullshit.
I don't know about this.
I smell bullshit. Yeah. I mean, again, they're maxed out on surprises at this point.
No, Little Nung's birthday was enough. That whole thing was just one big giant surprise where she's like, that's your dad.
Oh my god.
I don't want this.
No, that whole thing, like,
I don't want this.
Was just like, you could have explained this a lot better.
I'm sorry. Then she wouldn't be Big Nung. That's what makes her iconic. She's just like, 0 fucks. Here's how it is. That was so funny. She's like, by the way, that's your dad. She's like, what? No.
In front of folk, too. In front
of folk,
who's
like,
even take her alone and, like, tell her everything that's happening.
So funny. She's so funny. I love these sisters. They're just disasters. I love them. All right. So after the surprise thing, Pinga makes eye contact with Big Nung very briefly and then says, I missed my daughter, and then hugs her again, which, okay, cute. Meanwhile, Big Nung watches this and looks super uncomfortable. I imagine Big Nung's brain is running a mile a minute with bad thoughts because Pinga's here, as we've established. Never a good omen. She's like the albatross or whatever. It's like the bad side or whatever. So she doesn't take her eyes off of Pinga this whole scene. Like, she very much is just like, you know, retreating into herself and kind of watching this like she did with Chet. But I also feel like a part of Big Nung in this scene where Pinga like hugs Little Nung twice, I think part of her is happy because her girlfriend's getting like the love she from her parent, and like, so I think she's conflicted because she's like, this doesn't sit right with me, but like, also this is a really cute moment with you two. She can't turn the paranoia off, but like, it's Pinga.
Pinga. Pinga.
Pinga.
Oh, Pinga.
Oh, Pinga.
Oh, Pinga.
And then we go back to backhanded complimenting herself.
Yes. So Pinga says that her daughter is so beautiful, and there must be a lot of people approaching her. And it really feels like her parents only care about her love life, because that's the sole talk of every conversation. Again, Pinga doesn't really know what to talk about because she doesn't know her daughter. She didn't have that opportunity. So this is what we know to talk about, apparently.
Well, okay. I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, nobody really knows Little Nung except Big Nung, which is the whole problem, really. But from Pinga's point of view in this scene in particular, she's literally here because of the Big Nung, Little Nung relationship. So this is her way of subtly getting at that in the conversation, because that's why she's here. Versus, like, Chet asks her who she's dating constantly without being prompted. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know what to talk to her about. He's always trying to control her love life. Pinga is here because there's a rumor about her love life. So I think that that's why she's more direct towards that, because, like, that's why she's here.
Okay, that's fair.
But you're right. Those are the conversations we keep seeing with the parents, where it's like if that's all you knew and you didn't, like, think about the context of Pinga in this scene, it's almost like, I'm like, did you guys send her to university to marry her off? Because, like, you're always asking her, did you meet a man yet? Did you meet a man yet? And it's like, don't you care about how she's actually doing in school?
I don't think they know anything to talk to her about.
No.
Because, like, I'm trying to think what they would talk about. Because, like, they obviously wouldn't care about the podcast. I don't even know if they know about the podcast.
I doubt they even know about that, because Chet would be like, queer stuff and shut it down. But, like, I think that, like, wouldn't you, because, like, Pinga back in the, the dinner 105, she was like, one of her big worries is she's like, I want my daughter to go to a good school, so she's set up for success. Wouldn't you ask her, how are you doing in school? What do you want to do when you graduate? Like, wouldn't you be more concerned about, like, what the success is? Because, like, if they're that paranoid, I feel like they would be like, you need to go to business school. And they would be trying to, what the grandman was doing with Nung. She's like, you gotta, be in charge. You gotta do all these things. Their conversations are never centered around that. They're always like, did you meet a man? And I'm like, what year is it in your brain where, like, are you literally sending her to school to marry her off? Because, like, it comes off as that. I don't think that's what they're doing, at least Pinga. Chet, maybe. Pinga, I don't think so. But, like, their conversations never align with, like, we want her to be successful after school. Because, like, they never actually ask her. Or when Chet does ask her, he's like, how's school? Who are you dating? He will immediately follow up with, who are you dating? Like, he doesn't really care how she's doing at school.
Yeah, he doesn't care about anything.
He does not care. But, like, Pinga, I feel like, would get there. But, like, this conversation is designed to, like, get at Nung. Because she's protective mom in this scene. Like, she says certain things, we're about to get into it, that are designed to, like, hurt Nung when she's with Little Nung.
And because, like, she knows Big Nung. Like, they've grown up, they were best friends, they went through some shit. She knows how to get to Big Nung. Right, she knows how to get to her. But Little Nung is confused of what to say during this conversation.
Which is valid.
Just like, yeah, valid, very valid when you're, I mean, I don't think she knows this, but when you're dating your mom's ex,
why would anybody know about this scenario? You know how, like, when you're preparing for relationships and you're like, okay, but if you're dating your mom's former best friend, is there preparing you for that? I don't think so. Because, like, again, Little Nung doesn't know their history.
Which I would love just the conversation of that. Lana, please, can you just, like, write a scene for us about all three of them?
Where was that scene?
Little Nung and Pinga.
Because I will say, though, okay, yeah, we specifically want Little Nung and Pinga talking about Big Nung. Because in the book, Big Nung and Pinga do talk about the relationship between them in more explicit detail than you'd think.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait, the relationship between who?
Little Nung and Big Nung. Like, Big Nung talks to Pinga about her relationship with her daughter in graphic detail.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, which I didn't need that scene, but I really wanted Little Nung to talk to Pinga in semi-graphic detail, because I think it'd be really funny. Yeah.
I just really want Pinga to be like, yeah, I get it, girl.
No, like, literally, that's how she is in the book. She's like, Nung, I can't hear any more of this. Like, she's like, I literally stopped talking.
Oh my gosh.
It's weird. But, no, I wanted the mother and daughter to talk, and the mom be like, I get it. Good for you.
Good game.
Good game, yeah, good game. If one of my, somebody had to win. I'm glad it was you.
It's like, at least it's still my DNA with...
At least it wasn't Chet.
I mean, indirectly.
Seriously, how shitty was that for Pinga to find out? Because remember, she was abroad when, like, the grandman was trying to marry Nung off to Chet. How shitty would that have been for her to find out that, like, her almost ex is dating the father of her child? How much would that suck for Pinga to find out that Big Nung and Chet were engaged? That was really shitty.
Awful. But I mean,
that was really shitty.
It makes me think that the three of them were... We didn't see this, but it makes me think like the three of them were friends at that point for some reason. Maybe not like friends, but they were just...
I mean, I think you're right, because I think Nung knew that Pinga was dating Chet. That's how she knew to be like...
There's a reason Pinga went to Chet, because she was, like, heartbroken.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like he was around. Big Nung probably never wanted him around.
Right, no, exactly. I don't see her tolerating him voluntarily.
There, but
he was there.
And that's why Pinga was like, well, he's here.
Or, like, Big Nung met Chet through Pinga? Because they were still friends, kind of, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I think your theory tracks. They must have known Chet.
He was just...
He was there.
Herpes.
I mean, he's in their social circle, I would assume, because, like, he was son of Prime Minister. Pinga comes from a well-off family. Big Nung is royalty. So it makes sense that they would be in each other's circles. I agree that Big Nung would not tolerate Chet voluntarily, because why would she? So, yeah.
No.
But yeah, that must have been shitty for Pinga. I just realized that. Sorry.
No, that's it. And, like, to be an ocean away.
Right.
And, like, seeing this and being like, what the hell?
The two people that ruined her life. Like, you know what I mean?
Seriously. Oh my gosh, no. Yeah, that would be interesting to explore as well.
Yeah.
Okay, but Little Nung says that there is a few. And then, to make her point really clear, Pinga clarifies and asks if she has a boyfriend yet. And while she's asking this, the camera's on Big Nung. And it reinforces that Little Nung is expected to have a boyfriend and marry a guy. So I feel like Big Nung was probably zoning out at this conversation because they're like, okay, I guess we'll do this. And then she's thinking about this curry later. Probably not. She's like thinking like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose her and all.
Yeah, no, she's spiraling. She is spiraling.
Yeah, she's spiraling.
She's quietly spiraling. But if you notice her, when the word boyfriend is uttered, she looks up at Pinga.
Yes.
Because like that does
when
catch
she
her
comes
attention.
Back into the conversation.
Yeah, so this is when like her suspicions are confirmed about why Pinga's really here. Because this is Pinga showing her hand. She's like, this is why I'm here. And Big Nung's like, oh shit.
And then Little Nung says no. And Pinga clarifies further and questions if she likes anyone. And it is quite interesting. And this is why it definitely shows why she's here. Because we move from boyfriend to anyone.
Anyone.
And something homophobic is going on here. But I feel like it's more internalized, though. Big Pinga. I'm just saying, I don't think you can never get over Big Nung, so...
No, there is no getting over it. But, like, remember, she's here to confirm or refute Chet's suspicion about these two. But yeah, I'm with you that Pinga never gets over Big Nung. In my head canon, she never gets over Big Nung. Because how could you? How could you? Juan Viva must be some kind of, like, extraordinary human being. Because, like, how could you? Doesn't make sense. Does not compute.
It doesn't.
It does not compute.
Now little Nung looks extremely uncomfortable with the situation. If she wasn't enough already.
I know. Well, also, like,
she's uncomfortable.
She's super uncomfortable, but also, like, when she starts pivoting into, like, gender neutral terms, Little Nung's face to me reads as, like, betrayed a little bit suspicious and betrayed. Because think about where we were a minute ago. Remember, she got 2 hugs, and she was all happy about the hug, and she was, like, letting herself, again, she let her guard down, and she let herself feel the happy feelings of, like, having her mother, like, love her. And, like, admitting she wanted to see her because she missed her. So I think Little Nung was believing it. She's like, oh, you really did miss me, and that's really why you're here. But now she's, like, really insistent about, no, who you're dating for real. To me, I think from Little Nung's point of view, it feels a lot like Chet, because Chet keeps doing this to her. And as we've established many times, he's somebody who doesn't really love her. He's just trying to control her. And to me, it seems like Little Nung is, like, in real time, rebuilding those walls. Because she's like, I knew I couldn't trust you. I knew I couldn't trust you. And I've said this a couple times, but, like, I don't think Pinga is here to control Little Nung, like, not entirely. I think she genuinely is worried about Little Nung because she's been burned by Big Nung in the past. Like, let us recall the flashback from 104, right? When she, like, confessed her love and Big Nung's like, get out of here. What did Big Nung say? What did Big Nung say as the argument? She was like, we're women and then we're from a different class. Remember, different class. So part of Big Nung's rejection to Pinga was, like, social status, right? So now that Pinga sees her daughter's about to walk down the same romantic road she did, what does she do? She says this line to Little Nung that, like, you should be with someone who's your equal. And I think that there's a double meaning there. I think there's the obvious comment about the social status thing because she's covertly talking about Big Nung. And Big Nung is not on the same social stuff. They are not equal when it comes to social stuff. But also, like, I think that Pinga's here because she feels that, like, Big Nung doesn't deserve her daughter because she's in protective mom mode. She's like, you're too good for her. I've been through this with her. Like, she's a heartbreaker. Like, I don't want her to break your heart too. Like, she'll leave you high and dry.
She couldn't protect her from her mom.
Yes.
But now she can do whatever she can to protect her from other people.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is, like, her trying to, like, make up for the past in a way. Like, she's like, I am knowledgeable in this area, even though you don't know that.
She's like, this destroyed me.
Right.
I do not want this to destroy you. Like,
correct.
Her life was changed dramatically. I mean, granted, it was her actions afterwards, but it was the catalyst of her life not becoming hers anymore.
So what we're saying is, this entire show is Big Nung's fault. The whole thing is Big Nung's fault.
Just because of, look at her.
Big Nung. I mean, look at her. Look at her. I get it. But yeah, this reads to me as, like, Pinga really just came in as protective mother. Like, genuinely.
I really like your reads on Pinga, because it's easy to put her in the same category as Chet. But when we talk about this, it's clear because she looks at Little Nung more. Talk to Little Nung.
She talks directly to her. She's physically affectionate with her. She does say a lot. I miss her. Like, she's been saying that the whole time. I think she was being controlled by her mother. And I think Pinga also is breaking free of the shackles of all of that at the same time that, like, Little Nung is becoming, quote, like, an adult, like, in her family's eyes, right? So, yeah, I think her motivation is different than Chet's, which, like,
Chet's, and again, like, an asshole.
He's an asshole. I don't, he deal with that. But, like, of course we're gonna, like, read Pinga as, like, oh man, like, I hate you because, like, we're on Team Nungs. So, like, she is coming in here fucking up our ship. So, like, obviously you're gonna be mad at her, but, like, if you take 2 seconds to think about her, I think she's, like I've said, I think she's genuinely, like, here because she loves her daughter and is trying to protect her. Because she's think about this scenario, she's been down this road. She's like, she broke my heart, and I'm afraid she's gonna do it to you too. Like,
and it's not easy to get over Big Nung. You never get over Big Nung.
I have comments later that kind of go along with this. I have a lot to say about Pinga because I think she's interesting. And I remember watching this for the first time, and I probably said it in our reaction videos where I'm like, I feel like Pinga is going to be the one that bridges all this, the family stuff together, because she seems like she has the most selfless motivation. And by selfless, I mean like she puts Little Nung first. Right? Like,
yeah.
Whereas like everybody else puts like themselves first and what they want Little Nung to do, versus like Pinga is the one that like, again, the line like, oh, you're an adult. Like I think she sees her as a person first and like does treat her that way first.
And she sees the happiness from Little Nung when she is around Big Nung. Like Little Nung never looks that happy around the family.
Oh yeah, I know. It's astounding what everybody else doesn't see that's right in front of them. And think about Pinga. Pinga's actually kind of like removed a bit, like from the culture a little bit and from her family a little bit, because was physically transplanted into America or Europe. I forget exactly where she ends up, but
I'm pretty sure she's in the US.
I think so too. But she hasn't been living in Thailand for like decades. For like 20 years. So I think she brings a different perspective into this situation too, just because like, yeah, she like, it respects her family and the culture and all that stuff. I'm not saying she doesn't, but I'm saying that she brings a fresh lens to this whole situation when it comes to the relationship and her daughter and things like that. So.
It's true. So not only does she tell her that she should be someone who is her equal, she also says that most importantly, it must be a man.
Most importantly. It has to be a man.
Yeah, so Little Nung is shifting uncomfortable throughout this until she brought up the man thing. And she kind of becomes stiff while Big Nung immediately averts her eyes. And like there's no question why she's here now.
Yeah, and if you look at Pinga's like staring daggers at Big Nung. Because all of the rhetoric up till now was all designed to take digs at Big Nung. Like, you have to be with somebody who's your equal as a way to say, like, you two are not on the same page for so many reasons that I can see. And then, like, she's not a man. This was all designed to take digs at Big Nung. All of it. And, like, the way... And Big Nung knows. She's like, the jig's up. Like, we've crossed the territory that I didn't want to be in, and here we are. And then what does Pinga do?
Pinga says that she has to talk to Big Nung and sends Little Nung away because that's what everyone's good at. Because apparently the grown-ups need to speak.
Yeah, and I mean, again, a lot of this was just, she's like, I'm here to confront Big Nung. That's why she's here. That's why she showed up at Big Nung's gallery. Like, notice she didn't come to school to get Little Nung. She came to Big Nung's gallery, and I feel like Little Nung happened to be there, is what happened.
Yeah, because it's Big Nung's fault.
It's Big Nung's gallery. Like, she came to her workplace to confront her, and her daughter happened to be there. So I think she came in with that mindset, and that's why, like, in front of Little Nung was making all these comments that indirectly directed at Big Nung, and then was like, I'm here to talk to Big Nung, so like I'm gonna need you to go because this is a mom versus boyfriend talk that we're about to have. Like, and you know, they both Big Nung definitely knows that's where this is headed, but I think Little Nung is finally starting to like get in her brain because when she looks at Big Nung, she looks worried, and it's like, yeah, girl, this is what your girlfriend's been worried about the whole fucking show, and here we are. We've come to that moment.
Now they're alone in the gallery. And Pinga just starts walking around complimenting it. And it reminds me of the same thing that she did with Little Nung before she spewed all this bullshit.
She's playing the nicety. She's like, the polite thing to do is to like, she's doing small talk, and Big Nung's like, I hate small talk. She hates small talk. She's not the person you talk to when you want to chit chat. You have to get right to the point and move on. So she's like, enough. What do you want? Like, why are you really here? What do you want?
Pinga says that she heard something strange from Chet. Okay. Yes, because everything out of that man's mouth is strange. Yes, he's just strange.
He's just strange. And, you know, they both, Big Nung definitely knows that's where this is headed, but I think Little Nung is finally starting to like get in her brain because when she looks at Big Nung, she looks worried, and it's like, yeah, girl, this is what your girlfriend's been worried about the whole fucking show, and here we are. We've come to that moment.
That's just him.
That's just him.
But
you should know this, Pinga.
But Big Nung asks for clarification after she says that, because after she said it was about her and Little Nung, because she is not about to out them if she doesn't have to. This is a classic situation. Oh, I know something, and then they're just gonna incriminate themselves. Oh, that's not actually what I was here to talk about.
Yeah, I think this is like Big Nung's evasive instincts kicking in, because she is naturally evasive, because again, she's flight, not fight. That's her natural state of being. So I'm with you. Like, if there's some kind of misunderstanding happening here that Pinkfa's about to admit to, she's like, I'm gonna run with it, because she lies by omission constantly, where she's like, you think whatever you're gonna think, and I'm not gonna correct you or deny it. I'm just gonna move on and let you think what you're thinking, unless what you're thinking is what I don't want you to be thinking, and then you see the way her brain spirals.
Like, do you know what I'm thinking?
Know.
You think I know. You don't know our relationship is not a thing, but it is a thing.
Right. That's Big Nung's brain right now.
I confused myself while I was saying. I was like, I don't know if this makes sense, but whatever. Anyway, Pinga asks her if they are dating, which prompts Big Nung to ask if she just came back to ask her this. Because, this could have just been an email. But she could easily lie over email. Pinga needs to witness it.
Well, this is mom confronting the boyfriend. This isn't a conversation you have over an email. Like, I understand why you're saying that. It would be cheaper for Pinga. But Big Nung would ignore the email. Let's be real. She wouldn't respond. This is mom confronting the boyfriend scenario. So this is a conversation you have in person. Which is why, again, it shows the devotion of Pinga to her daughter, that she took the time to leave America, come to Thailand to have the conversation and confront the boyfriend. Like, that speaks to Pinga's character more so than Chet's stupid ass. So if you watch Big Nung very closely, when Pinga asks, are you dating my daughter? Big Nung flinches and just kind of stares off into the distance. Because she knows Chet told Pinga, which means he also told the grandmother, so now everybody knows this. Because, there's no way Pinga finds out about this unless Chet told her and told the grandmother. He told everybody. Mm-hmm. So now Big Nung has a choice to make. We're in the nightmare scenario she's been trying to prep herself for, avoid for a very long time. But now we're here. She has the choice to make. Either she lies to keep the relationship a secret, which she hates lying, and avoid the fallout, or come clean and fight for the relationship out in the open with Little Nung, like the people in the radio show were talking about, right? So is it fight or flight? What does she do? Or secret option number 3, keep evading the question. She goes with option number 3. She's really
good at that.
She lies by omission. That's what she does. Just evade the question and don't get involved.
It's like, how long can I say nothing until I have to say something?
Well, that, or she does the thing where she's like, let me ask you a question. Instead of answering your question. She does that shit all the time.
How's America treating you?
Right.
But Pinga did miss her daughter. She says that. We understand that. And this was the excuse she needed to come back. In my mind, you can't change it. She was definitely upset that her daughter was stealing her woman. That was secondary motivation for this, but
Yeah. But I do love that she actually says alone to Big Nung, I missed my daughter. Because remember, easier before when she was like, I missed you, Little Nung, and let me hug you. That could have been performative in front of Little Nung, right? But now she's saying they're alone. She's like, oh, I missed my daughter. And I love that she says this, because it's a clue for us as the audience and to Big Nung that Pinga genuinely loves her daughter and misses Little Nung because she thinks about her. It's not like Chet, who clearly does not think about Little Nung as a person at all, but her mom thinks about her. And by answering this question, Pinga is showing that she is willing to put Little Nung first, because what she's saying is I came to Thailand for my daughter first and not just to confront you. She's like, I'm here really because I miss my daughter. But then also there's this weird shit going on. So I have to confront you. And like, Pinga clearly doesn't want to be having this conversation with Nung. Like, she says it a couple times. She's like, I really hate that I have to say this, but I have to say it as her mother. So, like, I love that. This is Pinga putting Little Nung first. She put her life on hold, dropped everything, and came over here to, like, protect her daughter and see her daughter. Like, I love that.
The best parent in any of these shows so far. I mean, not any of the shows. Look, we've had other parents, but like best parent in this show.
In this show. Yes. Yes. Everybody on Big Nung's family. And then Little Nung's family. Pinga's probably the best parent. We're just saying something.
It's sad.
Low bar.
The bar is so low. It's not even touching the ground. It's
with Satan and Pluto. That's where it is. It's so low.
Okay. Pinga tells Big Nung that she wants her to tell her the truth. And not only does Big Nung say yes, she says out loud that they are dating. So she could have just been like, yes, and then pretended later that she wasn't agreeing to that. It was something else. But no, she fully says, we are dating. And this is a huge moment for her. Like, she's able to openly say that, and she admitted it to Little Nung's family member. This is a huge moment.
And I love how Big Nung does it. So she doesn't just, like, say it. Like, watch her body language. Like, when she's presented with the question, she, like, squares up. Like, she brings herself to her full height. She, like, channels all of her confidence, and just, that's when she says yes. Like, she's being as real as person. She doesn't cower. She doesn't look afraid. She's just very directly, like, fighting and confronting the truth and saying yes, like, head on. Like, this is something Little Nung would do. Okay, and, like, this body language, remember this body language. When she first tells Pinga, we are dating, the way she holds her head up high and, like, back straight and, like, with all the confidence in the world says it. Because the next time she confronts Pinga, her body language is completely different. Like, this is a fight pose that she's doing right now. Because I think that Big Nung in this moment feels in control of the conversation. And Big Nung is a person we've established that loves being in control. And so she's showing that by the way she is carrying herself in front of Pinga. She's looking strong in this scene. And so Pinga, when she's confronted with the blunt truth from Big Nung, is stunned at first, and she struggles to process this. And then Big Nung's like still in her defensive pose. Like, she's still got her arms crossed around Pinga, but she's like, got the confidence, and she's like, isn't that what you wanted? You asked me to tell you the truth, and now you're acting like surprised. She's not sympathetic at all, because she's like, you asked, I told you. Like, why are you shocked? So then Pinga very quickly cycles through the 12 stages of grief and starts with denial. She just starts with number 1, and she's like, Nung, how could you say something like that? It's not true. Big Nung's like, why don't you motherfuckers ever believe me when I tell you things? I don't understand you. So, like, Big Nung has to, like, she sighs really heavily because, like, Little Nung's family is exhausting. They're exhausting. You tell them things, and then they, like, forget you said it, and then they don't listen to you, and she's like, it's genetic, I guess. And then she has to, like, psych herself up again because think about Big Nung, too. Like you said, this is a big moment. She's telling a family member, come and clean about the relationship. Also, to do that, Big Nung has to be really vulnerable, okay? And expose herself, right? Despite her defensive stance. And so what does she do? She, like, gets even more vulnerable with Pinga than I think she ever wanted to. Because to convince Pinga, what does Big Nung do? She waxes poetic about how much she loves Little Nung. Like, she, like, gets really vulnerable with her and tells her this stuff. She's like, we love each other. Like, she explains the relationship, like, which is a vulnerable thing because she's been the whole show trying to protect that relationship as much as she possibly can because she's afraid of it getting taken away from her. And, like, here she is, like, basically, like, exposing the whole thing, like, to somebody who has the power to crush it. Like, that takes a lot of courage to do.
It's very similar to when she talked to Auntie Nim.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is worse, because, like, Big Nung can easily lose control of this situation. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes her, that's what puts her in more of a vulnerable position than she did with Auntie Nim. Because we talked about this. Like, what were the stakes, really, with Auntie Nim? It was going to be uncomfortable to live in the palace. But ultimately, Auntie Nim has no control over Nung. Like, Nung does what she wants. He's like, I'm your employer. Like, at the end of the day, I understand they respect each other and stuff. I'm not dismissing that. I'm just saying, like, they're not equal. Whereas, like, Pinga, they're not equal either because, like, Pinga has dominion over Little Nung, whether anybody likes it or not. So, like, she can crush the relationship if she wanted to. So there's more at stake for Big Nung in this conversation than there was with Auntie Nam, but you're right, similar situation. But what's Pinga's reaction? I think that Big Nung's very bold, very blunt declaration of love is the breaking point for Pinga, because she flips out, because I don't think she's like, this can't be true, and then Big Nung's like, no, it's true, like, she's hung the moon in the sky, and starts, like, waxing poetic about how much she loves her daughter, and Pinga was like, what? No, what is this? No, this isn't true. Like, she just, in the denial, like, just can't believe this, you know, even though it's right here in front of her, she's like, I can't believe this.
I think that she also probably thinks that Big Nung's just making a huge joke out of all of this, because she knows her from when she was young, and sometimes Big Nung does use this to cope with things and doesn't really handle situations. Like, seriously, we saw it at the funeral where she was like, oh, what about this? Like, the will and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's true.
She doesn't, when things are too emotional or, like, vulnerable for her, she tends to make it into something that removes her. This isn't really removing her, but she thinks that she's just playing into it to make it all of a joke.
Yeah, I can see that.
So not even after Big Nung states multiple times that they love each other. Multiple. Many
times.
And are dating. Does Pinga believe it? Maybe she's still in denial. Who knows?
I think she's scarred for life by Big Nung's rejection, and that's part of the hesitance here.
Definitely. Like, yeah, she's just really hoping it's not true. And maybe if she just keeps asking, the answer is going to change. Kind of like a kid asking for dessert after being told no multiple times. I see no difference here. And yet,
Pinga did fly all the way to Thailand to make sure this wasn't real. So, like, a part of her was like, this could be real. Otherwise, she wouldn't be here. If like, this was so outlandish, like what Chet was saying, she wouldn't physically be here. But, like, a part of her has to be like, maybe it is true.
And her feelings, insecurities, anger from the past come back when she says, a person like you will never like a girl like Anung. And, like, that's gotta hurt. And there's a couple of things we need to talk about from this line. Because Pinga definitely has some trauma from Big Nung when she confessed her feelings. Because that was a whole thing. Like, Big Nung didn't really validate her feelings first. She just, like, fully played it off. Like, they could have probably talked that out more. But again, it was 20-some years ago now, and times were different. She's like, maybe if we just ignore it, we can move on. And most likely, in her mind, the only reason why Big Nung didn't like her back then was because she was a woman. Yeah, she said the equal thing, too. But she was... maybe if she was a man, they could have had their happily ever after. Not to mention Big Nung felt nothing for her. But in her brain, that wasn't the case because, you know, she thinks very highly of herself. She's beautiful.
Well, let's also talk about the fact that, like, the Big Nung that Pinga knew was 16-year-old Big Nung, okay? And 16-year-old Big Nung is the woman who never had feelings for anybody. That's the Big Nung she knows, okay? And I think that's partially why this is so outlandish to her. She's like, you're not capable of loving anybody. You've said it many times. Like, you know, Sam has mentioned it to Mon in the show where she's like, I can't believe my sister's acting like this. She doesn't care about anybody. Like, care meaning, like, love. She doesn't love other people. Like, it's just... And remember, that was Nung's problem. Like, she's never had feelings, and then suddenly she's having all these feelings, and then she's like, what do these feelings mean? That was season 1 of the show. So that's where Pinga's coming from. She's like, you're telling me you're in love with my daughter, and you're the person that, like, doesn't love anybody. That was partially why their thing never worked out. Nung's like, I don't love anybody. Like, get out of here. I don't want anybody else. And then she's like, what? Like, I think this is a lot for her to process because they're estranged from each other, really. Like, there's 20 years where they haven't also been hanging out. So, like, and Nung is a completely different person now. We've seen her transform since she met Little Nung. Like, she's a completely different person. So, like, I think also what this argument is kind of showing us is that Pingfa and Nung don't really know each other anymore. And I think Pingfa is having a hard time with that because Nung changed. Like, Nung has changed. Mm-hmm. And Pingfa's learning that for the first time in this conversation. Just like where she's like, wow, my daughter's a woman. She's also learning that, like, my best friend has changed.
She's basically learning that life goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And the second thing with this line is just like what we talked about before, how she's afraid for her daughter and doesn't want to see her get hurt. Like, she understands what being in love with Big Nung and getting her heart broken feels like. The only thing is, Pingfa will never understand what it's like to have Big Nung love you back.
That's the irony.
Yeah. And Pingfa couldn't protect her daughter growing up. This is her first time she gets to, like, try. Like,
yeah.
She's now in her daughter's life. It is her job to protect her daughter. And this is the best way she knows how because she's seen this play out.
Yes, precisely. And remember, Pingfa's perspective of Big Nung is the person who doesn't love anybody else. So I think she has a hard time believing that when Big Nung says we love each other, I don't think she believes Big Nung, to be honest. And she's like, you're just going to hurt her the way you hurt me. Like, you said you cared about me. And then what? Did you see her dump Pingfa? Was so callous the way she did it because she didn't have feelings. She didn't understand feelings. She didn't know how to be empathetic because she never had these feelings. Now with, like, Little Nung, you watch her, she's way more empathetic in the scene, even though she's, like, standing up for their relationships. Like, the Big Nung has completely changed. But, like, so Pingfa's, it's understandable, and I like that you brought up that, like, this is the first time she ever really could. I mean, I guess that's not true. The first time she really stood up for Little Nung was when she confronted her mother, and she's like, why are you hitting my daughter? Like, that, we've seen Pingfa do it, but I like that you brought up that point, because, like, Pingfa is stepping in to protect Little Nung, and I think Chet feels like he's doing that, too, but to me, it comes off as more self-righteous. He's
totally selfish in this. He still wants Big Nung back.
Correct. His motivations are totally different, but I think in his brain, he's like, I'm being a dad and I'm protecting my daughter. I don't know why he's in the South with my accent. I don't know why he's in the Southern. He's the Southern man, but he is. He gives me that conservative Southern man vibe in the U.S. And be like, stay away from my daughter. And like, I'm
gonna shoot you with my shotgun.
That's what I mean. It's not because of her. It's not what she wants. It's what he wants kind of thing. But I think in his brain, he's like, I'm protecting her. I'm her dad. And he's like... Whereas Pingfa, we've seen her do this before with Little Nung, where, like, when she can step in, she does. Like, to protect Little Nung, not... Again, she stood up to her own mother, and it had nothing to do with, like, how dare you, like, do this to me? I was like, how dare you do this to her? She does put Little Nung first, more so than Chet. Chet does not. Chet puts himself first in everything he does.
Chet doesn't know how to care about anybody else.
No, hence why he ran away. Like, I hate him so much.
It's like, if it will ruin his life, like, this is just because it's going to benefit him.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's why I hate him.
But after Pingfa tells her that a girl like her could never love Little Nung, Big Nung averts her eyes to absolutely anywhere else in the gallery. And she's just internalizing everything right now.
Yeah. And the last shot is just these two tensely staring at each other. So it appears we were at a crossroads, and poor Big Nung failed at coming clean with the relationship despite trying her very best to come clean with the relationship. Like, I have to give her credit for that. She tried so hard, but she
tried
failed.
the hardest thing ever.
So
like, this
hard.
Is what she tried in her life, probably.
Yeah.
Like, I love your daughter.
Like,
I am dating your daughter. We love each other.
She's like, we have a normal relationship where we just love each other. And Pigman's like, stop talking. Nung tried so hard. Give her credit.
The only thing she could have done, and this wouldn't have even worked, is like literally shake her and be like, I love your daughter.
Or just like go get Little Nung and be like, kiss me. And she would do it. She'd be like, okay. In front of my mom? I don't care. Right. Would that have worked? Who knows? I feel like this family needs they need time to process shit, because like you would put it in their face and they're like, I still don't believe you. which is exhausting.
Yeah. Later that night, Little Nung calls Big Nung in bed because she misses her and wants to spend time with her. I mean, yes, they're used to being like glued at the hip.
Yes.
And Big Nung tells her that Sorry, Bristol, stop licking the floor. I was like, I know you can hear that. So Big Nung tells her that her mom is back in town and she should spend time with her. But Little Nung doesn't want to do that. Little Nung doesn't want to spend time with anyone but Big Nung.
Also, like, it's nighttime. What is she supposed to do with her mom?
But props to Big Nung for being so selfless through all this, though. Because, like,
Literally.
I know we've talked about why she wants Little Nung to be closer to her family. But it could be really easy for her to say, screw it, and just be with Little Nung and just not care about the family. But she sacrifices her time so they can try to have that relationship. And that's really big of her.
That's what I mean. She, like, plays, like, the damsel role where it's, like, my power is self-sacrifice. Even though, like, she has a lot of power and influence as who she is. Like, to your point, where she could. But, like, this is the character arc, right? Where, like, if Big Nung was 16 years old or 20 years old, right? If they were the same age, like, 20-year-old Big Nung would be like, fuck no, and would do what she wants and would take Little Nung away. But she's learning how to be selfless and put other people first, like, to make better choices and make less mistakes. And so here we are with Big Nung. So yeah, I do love it. It's just growth for Big Nung, which I love. But Little Nung's like, no, be selfish and take me away. I don't want to be here. Which is a lot of their conflicts. Really, when you boil it down.
Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone.
That's literally Little Nung in the scene. All right, so Little Nung misses Big Nung, like we know, and she's upset because she starts this off with being like, ugh, I hate that we're apart because we were going to watch a series together tonight. So that begs the question, what kind of series was Little Nung going to have Big Nung watch? Were they going to watch Gap? What were they going to watch?
Love is Blind.
Because, like, it's scripted television, I assume, a series. So, like, what is Little Nung into? Because, like, we know her favorite radio show. I assume it's going to be some kind of sapphic romance thing that she'd be into.
Gap.
I feel like she'd be into, like, Gap or, like, something like that. Anyway, so Big Nung, right, when Big Nung insists, like, hey, spend time with your mother, I was also a little surprised she did this, not because she's being selfless, but because Pingfo is being weird at the gallery, and so, like, I'm surprised Big Nung's not more concerned for Little Nung, and like, Little Nung's alone with her mother, who just, like, flew halfway across the world to confront Big Nung, and did not take it well, so I'm surprised she's like, yeah, spend time with her, because, like, I guess she's like, hey, your mom's in denial about us, might as well, like, you know, she hoping for the best in this scene. I wasn't sure.
Who knows? No one will know how this is gonna play out.
It's true. It's
like,
true.
Maybe if I have you spend more time with them, they won't be as angry, and they'll be okay eventually.
This is a Chow Planoy novel. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know what's gonna happen.
But we can always count on Little Nung being Little Nung. And she's like, it's such a pity. I was planning to play something with you tonight. Sexy shirt game, anyone?
Okay, this line, I assume, is for the book readers, because they definitely play sex games in the book, and, like, they definitely play games, and Little Nung would come up with games, and then Big Nung would go with the game. So this is 100% a call out to that. And when Big Nung and Pingfo talk about their relationship, this is something Big Nung brings up to her mother.
Oh my god,
in explicit detail. So that is what's happening. That's a great question, Big Nung.
Why Chow?
I don't know. The war crimes in these novels is astounding. So thank you, screenwriter, for not putting us through this, but also keeping this line in here, because, like, this is homage to the book in my mind, because they definitely play sexy role play games.
Interesting.
And it's Little Nung. Little Nung is a big thirsty one that gets him into it. And then Big Nung's like, I'm kind of into this too. And then they just kind of go with it, which good for them. Good for them. We're not here to kink shame anybody, not even fictional characters. That's great. But I love this line because it's book reader line.
But this immediately freaks Big Nung out. And she's like, is your mom around? She isn't. Because she wouldn't do it if she was. At least that's Little Nung's answer. Because, yeah, okay, Little Nung. You definitely would try to figure out how much you could say and tease Big Nung before people get suspicious. Like, you would be, like, pushing it.
Little Nung is 100% that bitch that would bring up sex games in front of her mother. She is that person. So this was a whole ass lie where she's like, I would never do that. It's like, you absolutely would do that. Absolutely. You were the one in the car who's like, it's just a cheek kiss, Nung. It's fine. Nobody knows. Like, it's a girl. You're constantly pushing boundaries. Like you said, she would absolutely bring up sex games in front of her mother. She is that person.
I'm now picturing the conversation of Big Nung telling Pinga everything. Oh my
god.
But Little Nung being there too, and like Little Nung chiming in.
Yep. It was a very explicit conversation that I wish I didn't read, but oh my god.
Little Nung tells Big Nung that she misses her, and this woman is currently cookie deprived. Like, she needs cookies. She hasn't had cookies in like a couple hours.
Right, it's been a couple hours.
So Big Nung puts on her cute voice and says, I miss your soft cheeks too. I love how like that was her response. Like, I don't miss you, I miss your soft cheeks.
I think she's implying like kissing your cheek. Because like, again, we watched her kiss Little Nung's cheek in the car. What was she doing? She was like, like enjoying it. That's what she's, I think, talking about here. But
and Little Nung tells her, don't do this. Because this is not helping the situation. It's just making her want to see her more. And she knows she can't right now.
No. Little Nung cannot handle the cute voice. She's very honest about that. She's like, I can't handle this. When you're like doing the diabetes talk, like I can't handle it. It's too sweet.
But Big Nung doubles down and continues. And then is like, does it make you shy? And it's like actually kind of cute to see the super upfront Little Nung being bashful by this. Like, because she's all confident and assertive until Big Nung comes out to play. And you see it in the car ride when she's, like, being all assertive. And then Big Nung shifts it to her. And she's like, whoa.
No, when Big Nung turns on the big gay energy, like, Little Nung's brain gets fried and she can't handle it. Remember when they were in the car? I forget what episode it was. The last episode or whatever. And they're driving and she's like, am I making your heart race and this and that? And Big Nung stops the car and she's like, what are you going to do? And then Little Nung's like, oh my god, I can't handle this. It's too much. Yeah, it's like when Big Nung turns on the charm, it's over.
And Little Nung tells her that it makes her want to hug her. Because, I mean, I would want to hug her 24/7, so I don't think you need an excuse that it makes you want to.
Alright, but like going back to like the bashful thing, in this scene, I got a little different vibe from Little Nung in this scene. I think Big Nung can't see her, remember, they're not FaceTiming, they're on the phone. Which, side note, for a millennial, Big Nung makes a lot of voice phone calls. As a millennial, like I've done research into our generation for something that has nothing to do with this podcast, for like a presentation I had to give. Millennials don't like phone calls. Like, I can say that as a millennial. I hate phone calls. My wife hates phone calls. We're not phone call people. You text me. Don't call me kind of thing. So, like, Big Nung for a millennial makes a lot of phone calls. I just wanted to throw that out there, which is odd.
Does Gen Z okay with phone calls, or?
No, Gen Z likes video calls. Gen Z likes video. I don't like video calls. I don't like voice calls. Text me.
I like video. That makes sense then.
Well, it's like, right. I think it's because, we grew up with, like, AOL Instant Messenger. So, like, that's basically was texting. So, like, I prefer to text. I don't want to see you. I don't want to call you. Just text me. I'll text you back. It's just, I prefer it.
Well, video calls. Yeah, okay, never mind. Continue.
So, like, it's weird, but I don't know. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, like, Thailand millennials versus U.S. millennials, because, again, my research and my take on this is very USA-based. But anyway, regardless, just wanted to make that comment. So the vibe from Little Nung in this scene with the bashful line. I didn't read her as bashful in this scene. I'm reading her as thirsty top Little Nung was in this conversation. I didn't see any shyness from her. Because the whole conversation, she's bossing Big Nung around. Like, the whole conversation. Because she doesn't say, please, please don't do that. She says, stop using that voice with me because it makes me want to hug you right now. She's commanding Big Nung to stop because she wants to hug her and, like, I get the impression she wants to do more than a hug Big Nung. Is like from this, but she says hug. But anyway, she seems very bossy in this scene to me and like all confident and just trying to boss Big Nung around, which is interesting.
Okay. You also read the book, which gives you more into them. I feel like maybe I should have read the book because I would see more of the dynamic as well.
Little Nung can be bossy. She definitely can be. When she's thirsty, she can be bossy. Mm-hmm. Like, Big Nung is, like, the top in all the scenarios, basically. She's the dom. It's the dom-sub dynamic. She's the dom, she's the sub. But, like, Little Nung's bossy. She definitely bosses Big Nung around. And Big Nung's, like, just goes with it. Because, like, she wants to make her happy. But I think, like, we've heard them had this conversation before. Remember, in the car, where she's like, are you being shy? And Little Nung's like, it's hot out. Yes, I'm being shy. She's not shy in this conversation because she's thirsty. Immediately, she's like, I want to play a sex game with you. And Big Nung's like, what the hell? Your mom's next door. What are you doing? And, like, so, like, again, like, thirsty. When she's thirsty, she's very bossy. And, like, gets it in her head. And I feel like if Big Nung was in the room with her, you'd get shyness. And because Big Nung would she was trying to turn on the charm, but Little Nung was just like, you're too far away for this to work. And it's full effect. Yeah.
Big Nung tells her that they will see each other in 2 weeks, which, like, that's a long time for them.
But why 2 weeks? Because it's always a fortnight with queer people. That's just gay math. It's always 2 weeks.
It's always
2 weeks.
Or at least multiples of 2. Preferably 2 weeks, but if it's shorter, it's 2 days, longer, 2 months.
Yes, it's always multiples of 2.
But it just seems weird that they can't see each other at all for 2 weeks. But Big Nung knows they have to keep their distance because of all the suspicion around the relationship. Like,
I think that, like, okay, so remember the conversation with Chet where he's like, how long you staying here? And she's like, well, the semester ends in 2 weeks. I guess, again, how fast did Pinga get here? Like, because in my brain, like, she's taking her away until the end of the semester because the plan is to whisk her away, right? They don't know that yet, but that's the plan. How fast from the dinner at Big Nung's did Pinga get here? Because now it's still 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, it was 2 weeks the night of the dinner at Big Nung's, the Millennials versus Gen Z dinner, where Chet's like, 2 weeks? And then Pinga shows up, and then she's like, I'm going to be with my mom for 2 weeks.
Okay.
How fast did Pinga get here?
At night, we assumed that they had that conversation, and then I said the next day, I assume. Like, yeah, so we don't really know what time is.
Yeah, we don't know what time it is, but it's the time, but they're still saying 2 weeks, so, like, damn, Pinga, do you have a private jet? Like, what does your husband do? Like, how did you get here?
But no, it doesn't make sense if she's home and the semester's still going.
Well, it would make sense that, like, Pinga would be like, okay, you're staying with me until the end of the semester, which is 2 weeks, and then we'll figure shit out. Because Pinga's planning on taking her back to the United States in 2 weeks. It's just, they don't know that yet. Because, like, she would have to wait until Little Nung finishes her semester to whisk her away, which is the actual plan. They don't know that yet. The Nungs don't know. But, like, math for Pinga, like, 2 weeks would make sense. Unless it's like it was a week later and then she's like, stay with me for a week until you're done with classes and for a week after. Like, and like you're moving with me in that week after school. It could be that too. I need a timeline. We need a timeline because we keep getting confused about what time it is, how much time has passed, what are they talking about. It's just 2 weeks keeps coming up. That's all. And then I was like, when did Pinga get here? Because it was 2 weeks before she got here. Anyway.
That's yeah. Oh, okay. So Big Nung again, she is trying to still keep her distance because of the suspicion as well. Granted, I mean, she did tell Pinga but that woman is jealous and in denial. I mean, Wanasorn, feel free to correct me, but I like this version.
That Pink is jealous.
Yeah. Anyway. So Big Nung tells her to close her eyes and imagine that she is there with her. And so then we get this type of shot where they did in Red, White, and Royal Blue and in Gap, where they show the conversation on the phone as if they were in the same room. And now that she feels like Big Nung is with her, Little Nung admits that she doesn't know what is going on. I mean, it's weird to have your absent mother in her mind suddenly come back with no warning. Again, because she already came back and gave everyone the surprise of a lifetime, including us. I mean, again, I love that my reaction is forever filmed and on the internet. Because you're never ready. Never. And Big Nung says that Chet must be getting suspicious of them and asked Pinga to come back. Because why else would she be? But then she says there's no proof yet. There's no proof that they're dating. She does remember that she confirmed it to Pinga, right? Like, does Little Nung even know she said that they were dating to Pinga?
Does Big Nung have amnesia? Because, like, the truth is out there, Big Nung. You put the truth out there. And this, if you don't know what this is, Kaitlynn, this is the gift from the X-Files. The truth is out there. Like, you told her, we're dating, we're in love. Like, that happened, Big Nung. Do you not remember that happened? How is that not proof?
I guess because Pinga kept telling her to stop making jokes. She was like, there's no proof, but you said it.
Right, and I guess that, like, Big Nung did read that as, like, your mother doesn't believe me, I guess. So, like, aside from, like, my word, I guess they don't have anything else to go off of.
Because we didn't see the creepy dude taking photos of us in the car.
No, they didn't see that. That's what I mean. They're still in their little bubble, so... But yeah, I don't know if she told... Yeah, did Big Nung tell... Because, like, imagine Little Nung was, like... Well, okay, here's... like, in my brain, I was going to be like, I imagine Little Nung would have asked Big Nung, what the hell were you talking to my mother about? But I wonder if they never had that conversation and, like, Pinga was, like, at the end of the Big Nung Pinga conversation, was like, I'm taking her away right now. And they never got to be alone until right now when they're having this conversation. And so, like, yeah, question, did Big Nung tell Little Nung what she and Pinga actually talked about? Because I imagine Little Nung was dying to know, right?
Yeah. I mean, so, I don't think... I'm pretty sure anybody would be curious.
But also, like, I imagine Big Nung had to have told her, because that's probably why Big Nung's like, why are you talking about sex games? She was already suspicious of us. Right? She's like, whatever. Anyways,
yeah,
I don't know.
And
I don't know.
Little Nung does respond like she always does. So what? She knows she loves Big Nung, and she wants to scream it from the freaking rooftops. She does not care about any of the repercussions of this. But Big Nung, once again, reminds her that it isn't that easy. And she tells her that she wants to make it easy. But it isn't, because Little Nung's family trusts her, and if they know about them... Big Nung has trouble finishing that sentence. And I feel like Little Nung could sense the, like, uneasiness from Big Nung. Because this whole situation is a lot.
Well, Big Nung was hesitating because she was going to be like, if they knew we were fucking, but she didn't say it out loud. Because, again, eating food is porn. Like, she can't verbalize they have sex with each other. So that's where she was, her brain goes right to the gutter. And Little Nung's like, oh my God, with you. You big prude. So I think that's why she cuts it. Because, like, that's where Big Nung was going. She's like, Okay,
that's fair.
That's where her brain was going. She can't say it out loud because of the modesty thing. Clutches pearls in her brain.
I love that Big Nung is, like, the most modest out of everyone. Who's more modest? Pin or Big Nung?
It's hard to compare them because the time period makes it different. But, like, I would say Big Nung is more modest because she's modest in the modern era, which makes her pretty modest. You know what I mean? Versus, like, in the Loyal Pin, like, that was the time period, like PDA wasn't a thing, and like Little Nung would have been seen as like the weird one, you know what I mean, if you transplanted her to like the 60s or whatever, and she's like, let's kiss in public, and they're like, what are you doing, like that's against the law or whatever, like, you know what I mean, like she'd be seen as the weirdo, whereas like Nung is like, what time period do you think this is? Anyway.
Yeah. And then Little Nung asked Big Nung to promise not to leave her. And they're on the phone, so they can't pinky promise this.
That's right.
And it's interesting that she chose the word leave instead of break up, because this is her abandonment issues coming out. All she has known is people leaving her, even if she didn't really know them. Like, her parents did leave her. She didn't know that them beforehand. But she knows that they left. And now she knows them. And she doesn't want to, but she does. And like I said before, Big Nung leaving her will cause her to never recover. Because that is too much.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying. And I think that because she was getting triggered, that's why she cut Big Nung off. Like when Big Nung was trying to figure out how to say the word sex out loud, because she's a 30-year-old who can't say the word. Little Nung cuts her off because she's like getting triggered and worried. And I think part of her felt like this conversation was about to slip back into their like circular arguments that they've been trapped in when it comes to like their relationship. And so Little Nung, if you look at her when she says this, she really does look terrified of losing Big Nung, to your point. And like, because all the bravado she had from 2 seconds ago is like gone. Like 2 seconds ago, she was bossing Big Nung around on the phone. Now she looks terrified. But the thing is, like, you know, Big Nung grows over the course of their relationship. And like, yeah, they do end up in these circular arguments sometimes. But Big Nung's in a different place now. And she literally flat out told her mother that they were dating. Like, that's new and different. And so, like, that's evidence to us that, like, Big Nung isn't gonna, like, not fight for this. Like, you know what I mean? She's kind of already doing things to fight for that. And I love that she says flat out, I want this to be easy. Because I really believe in the background she's been doing everything she can to make this easier, because she knows it's gonna be hard no matter what. That's why she's been, like, navigating this the way she has been with Little Nung's family members, because she's like, they see me as a part of your family even though I'm not, which is a huge honor, and then like here we are doing this behind their backs, and like that's going to complicate things. But also what's complicating things is the fact that they don't see you as a person. They can't get on board with the queerness, and so she's been trying in the background to be like, can you accept she's queer at least, like can we make progress very slowly? So I think she has been trying to do that. It's just like their situation is very challenging.
I mean, this situation is, Chow, he did something. But Big Nung asks, why would I leave you? And this is a huge reassurance from Big Nung, who did keep running away from her problems growing up, trying to find her own happiness in an easier way. Now she is here to fight for her happiness, but she is still going to prolong the family from finding out as long as possible. But she will fight with Little Nung, and that's what Little Nung wanted to know.
It's true though. I agree with all of that, but I think the thing that makes Little Nung uneasy in the conversation is like, what does Big Nung do? Does Big Nung answer the question right away? No, she asks a question instead of answering the question. So I think that by itself made Little Nung uneasy. She's like, why aren't you answering? Because she knows her pattern of behavior enough to be like, you're making me nervous by the fact that you're not directly answering my question.
That is fair as well. Little Nung tells Big Nung that she is afraid. And again, Big Nung doesn't answer right away. And Little Nung starts freaking out, because that is when she starts to spiral. It's also easy to forget with the way that this is edited that they aren't in the same room. So it helps to remind the viewers that they can't actually see each other. So like everything is silent for Little Nung. And it would make sense it wouldn't make sense for her to freak out if they were in the same room because she could see her reaction, but because they're on the phone and they're not on a video call because apparently they don't exist, and you know, Big Nung's a millennial.
Well, like, again, but like Big Nung does this when they're in person too, and I think Little Nung would still freak out because Big Nung, it sounds like she's evading the question, and that is her pattern of behavior, and that makes Little Nung nervous when she's like, I'm being serious for once, I need a direct answer from you, and you're just evading and asking questions. So I think she'd still be nervous either way. And then the video call thing, like, it's valid. They don't use video. At the end, we get a video call with Pinga, but, like, spoiler. I'm sure you've seen the show. But, like, Little Nung and Big Nung never do video calls. And I wonder if, it's because Big Nung's a millennial. And, like, I've established, millennials don't like video calls. But Big Nung Big Nung's more like a boomer. And boomers like voice calls. And, like, Gen X. At least in America. But I wonder if it's, like, the practicality of it has to do with, like, budget. Because, like, then they'd have to edit a video call. Versus, like, doing this, you get the actors. I like the red, white, and royal blue thing, where they get the actors in the same room to be on the phone with each other. Because they didn't voice call either, and they could have in that movie. But I like this better, because then you get them acting together. Which must be better for the actors, to be honest. And it's more engaging, because otherwise, like, it's just like they're staring at a phone. Like, I like this better, personally. But to your point, video calls exist.
And when Big Nung still doesn't answer a few seconds later, Little Nung resorts to her whiny voice and says, "Our Nung." And it's actually kind of adorable because it's her persistent whiny voice from the first season. And it's just so cute because she's just like, remember that we can be lighthearted. Like, come on, you can. It's us. Talk to me. And Big Nung finally tells her that she won't leave her and asks why she would do that. She continues to tell her not to be afraid, and there is a way out of everything. And I'm like, yes. Go to the Isle of Lesbos and live your happy queer lives with a bunch of other queers. Plus, I want to see your bro adventures with Cher, because that would be fun.
Yes, I am always petitioning for Faye and Lux to do something together where they're just best friends, because it would be amazing. All right, but I love when Big Nung says there's a way out for everything, and she smiles when she says this, and I think that she genuinely does believe that they're going to be okay in the end, because I think she drank the love conquers all Kool-Aid that, like, Little Nung's, like, always trying to give her, because that was this conversation. Little Nung's like, I don't care, I'm going to love you no matter what. Love conquers all, it'll be fine. And Big Nung's like, okay, girl, it's not going to be that easy. Like, have you met your parents? Have you met your grandmother? It's going to suck. But, like, I think Big Nung is, like, hopeful at this point, which is huge, because, like, she's a pessimist. So for her to be even remotely hopeful is actually a big deal for her.
Yeah, and shows how Little Nung has helped her grow as a person. And kind of made her more secure. But then Little Nung is just like, I'm sick of this. And she says, time's up for stressful moments. And girl, I get it. Like, it gets to be too much for people. Like, in general. Like, this is a lot going on. Your mom keeps showing up at random times. Like,
so does your stupid dad.
Your dad's worse. Chet's just there. But she says it's time for them to listen to the radio. And Big Nung says that she doesn't have a radio. And this is where Theora pointed out earlier. That they listened on the iPad.
Right, because I love Little Nung's response. Little Nung's like, computers, Big Nung. We have computers. It's 2023, 2024, whatever time it is. So, like, my thing is, like, girl, what was this line, Big Nung? Because, again, they were listening on the iPad at the beginning of the episode. And it's moments like this that make me think that Big Nung just isn't that into technology and gadgets, and that's totally fine, because all she needs is, like, a blank canvas and some pencils, and the girl's good to go. She can entertain herself all day without modern technology. But my bigger question is, like, wait a minute. For her to say this is weird. I don't have a radio. It's like Big Nung is in the palace right now. So you mean to tell me that the grandmam didn't have at least one old-timey radio in that place? Like, we don't even have one relic from the loyal pin sitting around somewhere. Like, there's no way. That woman struck me as the type of person that would listen to the radio. You know, like, back in my day, it was the radio.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a radio somewhere in that palace. Big Nung.
Big Nung knows even less how to use that, though.
But girl, you were literally just listening on an iPad. Like, a day ago. What was this line?
And turned it off. Like, you know
I
how to work it.
I know. She knew how to work it. Like, anyway, she figured it out. But again, her comments on technology make me laugh. I just really think she's not a technology person at all. She's just not.
And, like, it has nothing to do, like, yes, she's younger. She has the capability of, no.
Right. It's not an age thing.
To.
I just think she doesn't want to, or just didn't think about it. Anyway, she makes me laugh.
But when Little Nung says that people these days use computers now, she is technically pointing out their age gap again. But this time, it doesn't make Big Nung shut down. And she actually takes a second to think about it and is like, oh yeah, those things exist.
Right.
You know?
Which is why I don't think she's using the one in her office either. She's like, oh
No.
yeah, computers. Those things. I just don't think she thinks about technology like that.
No,
that's why she's like, radio. I don't have a radio.
To music
like,
while she's doing stuff.
No, I think she likes silence. I get it, Big Nung. I concentrate better with silence too. So like, I don't think she's an internal monologue person. I think her brain works like mine. She likes the silence.
I think Little Nung is an internal monologue person.
She could be.
Okay, but then Big Nung says that she doesn't want to listen to music. And again, really, Big Nung. I don't think we've seen Little Nung listen to music. And Little Nung responds, who said I would let you to listen to music? I will let you listen to my favorite station.
And again, Little Nung brings her top energy to this conversation because the way, again, she's bossing Big Nung around. What did she say? Who said I would let you? I would let you. Okay? The way she's like literally bossing her around, makes me wonder, was this the game? Was this going to be the game that she was hinting at earlier where she like lets Big Nung do stuff, like listen to her favorite radio and then she gets a reward or some shit? Like, I feel like the game was Little Nung bossing Big Nung around. That was going to be the game. And she's like she's still, her head is in the game right now. She's like, I'm going to boss you around over the phone because I can't get you in person. Which is the opposite of what their normal games are. I'll say that. Sorry.
Little Nung's like, how much can I do over the phone?
That's what I mean. I think you guys can play sexy games over the phone. If Pink was really gone, Little Nung, and you were determined enough.
Seriously.
I'm just saying.
And Big Nung's response is like, nope, you know I don't like that. And Little Nung says that she should try listening to it when she is stressed, because she will learn that it's not just them who have problems and others are going through similar things. And this is why #representation matters. No, we're not alone.
Remember that Little Nung says that. When you're stressed out, listen to this radio show, because Big Nung files that away forever. Okay. Yes. So, let's talk about this line where she, basically Little Nung lets it drop, like he's in this conversation, where she basically tells Big Nung why this is her favorite show, essentially. And that was your line that you said, you'll learn it's not just us who are facing problems, others have them too. So, think about all the times in the show that we've seen Little Nung listen to this radio show. Okay, first time in the car when her very first driving lesson. Okay, she was nervous. She was going to do something big and scary for the very first time. She's like, I need my comfort show. After Chet caught them kissing, what did they do? She's like, let's go de-stress and listen to my favorite show. And then right now, where mom is suspicious, dad's suspicious, mom is separating me from Big Nung. This is Little Nung's way of telling Big Nung I'm stressed out without telling Big Nung she's stressed out, because Little Nung never really comes to Big Nung as like, I'm stressed. She never says that, but I think this is her way of like saying, hey, this is how you know if I'm stressed out, if I'm listening to the show, because we've seen her do that throughout the show. She reaches for the show when she's stressed out. And I think maybe why she does this is because I think when Little Nung is, to your point, I think when she's feeling overwhelmed and not in the right place to talk things through with Big Nung, this is her version of escaping and centering herself, right? Because that can happen, right? When, like, Little Nung is not afraid to, like, be vulnerable or talk about feelings and stuff, but, like, everybody gets points where they're too overwhelmed to do it, and I feel like that's what's happening with her. And so she's like, I just need to listen to my show. Whereas, like, Big Nung, when Big Nung's really overwhelmed and stressed out, what does she do? She's like, I need to isolate myself and process this by myself. I think Little Nung's the opposite, where she's like, I need to be in the company of other people listening to their problems so I'm less stressed about mine. Because she feels that sense of connection to be like, okay, I'm not the only one with problems. You have problems and you keep going. So I feel like that relaxes her. Versus if you were to put Big Nung in that situation, I feel like it would stress her out more. She'd be like, I have problems and you have problems. We all have problems. We're going to die. Versus, like, you know what I mean? Like, like, Big Nung needs to be alone to, like, calm herself down, because she's more of an introvert when it comes to this stuff, and she gets in her head, and, like, that's how she calms herself down. Versus Little Nung, I think, she's more extroverted in this kind of sense. Like, I have extrovert friends who just, like, they need to talk things through with other people, and they're stressed until they do that. I feel like this is kind of a similar thing with Little Nung. She's like, I need to hear your problems too, and that'll help me process my problems, because if I'm alone with my problems, I will freak out. And, like, Big Nung's the opposite.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. So, Big Nung says that she isn't going to listen. But after minimal, emphasis on minimal, protest from Little Nung, she caves.
Of course she does.
Okay, fine. I'll listen to it. And then Big Nung asks her if she stopped reading novels. And Little Nung says that she has everything she needs now. And now that Big Nung's is hers.
Okay. I love this. Because, yeah, this is weird. Because, again, I think, like, why Big Nung caves is she just likes spending time with Little Nung. But I think the reason she brings up the novel here is because she's like, well, I kind of would rather hear your voice than listen to strangers on the radio. So she's like, well, remember when you used to, like, read books to me? I got to listen to your voice. I think that's why she misses, this is her telltale sign of being like, I miss you. I want to hear your voice. Because that's why she agrees to this. So... But Little Nung, being a cheeky bitch, she's just like, why would I have to read novels? I got what I want. Because, translation, I don't need to read about falling in love or spicy scenes in novels, because, like, I have you to do all those things with. She's like, all right, I got the real thing. Why do I need... Again, I prefer real life over fiction. It's bringing that full circle. So I love that.
It's true.
But,
like, going back to, like...
Go ahead, sorry.
Going back to, like, she learns, like, different things from media... Basically, she finished Blank the novel and was like, I got this. I can stop reading. Right. Or maybe it's Pluto.
We don't know.
Satan do.
We still haven't watched it.
All right. Yes, we still haven't.
Don't tell us what happens.
No, don't.
Don't.
But, like, watch Satan not actually be a thing associated with Pluto in any sort of significant way. So and the show is just, like...
Watch it not make it into the show. I know it's in the novel. I was spoiled, but, like, watch it not be in the show. Yeah. Somebody spoiled what it means.
Oh.
I will not spoil it. But I think Big Nung was into the stories. I was kind of like, can you read a story to me? That's what she wants.
Just talk to me. She wants her to just record a podcast, really.
You should just go listen to Little Nung's podcast.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, she's lucky. She has the podcast. Like, she could just, like, fall asleep to the podcast at night.
Yes. What if that's what she did while Little Nung's in the coma? Oh, my God. I can see her doing that.
Oh, my God.
I know.
That's so sad.
I know, but I can see her doing that. I can see her doing that.
So sad. And then holding the dog.
Yes, and just crying herself to sleep. I can 100% see Big Nung doing that. She would. She's that bitch.
Yeah. So the episode ends with Big Nung telling Little Nung to put on whatever she wants to listen to. Okay, so technology again time. All right. So Big Nung is now listening to Little Nung's computer through the phone.
I think so.
I mean, we don't see Little Nung get a computer out, but she does say you can listen on a computer. And if she played it through her phone, Big Nung wouldn't hear it.
Or is Big Nung... Were they both supposed to, like, go to the app? Did she teach Big Nung about apps? Like...
I don't know. It's still not disproving our theory that Big Nung doesn't understand.
No, I still don't think she understands technology. But I just don't think she wants to. But yeah, no, I don't understand how they're actually listening to this. I think they were supposed to like turn it on their phones, but like maybe computers was translation of like technology exists or something like. Something more generic, like
I don't know, but she says you turn it on.
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering in that line where she's like, "Big Nung, computers exist." I wonder if the word that was actually used wasn't like, because computer is a specific form of technology. I wonder if it was a more generic word that's just like, there's newer technology. You know what I mean? Where it's a generic word. So then when Little Nung's like, turn it on, means like, without saying the phone, like turn it on your phone or something. I have no idea. I assumed Little Nung just like they were supposed to like hit an app and like listen to it simultaneously. Because there was no computer in wherever Little Nung is that I could see. I don't think Big Nung cares. Because truly, I don't think Big Nung, even if Little Nung figured out the technology and put on the radio show, I don't think Big Nung heard a damn word of what was going on the show. Because, like, look at her face. She was just, as this kind of, like, concludes, like, she's just got this dreamy look on her face. So I think she's just daydreaming about Little Nung the whole time and not listening to the show. So, like, I don't think she even cares. Little Nung probably didn't turn on the show. And Big Nung's just like,
watch her just fall asleep.
Right. Like, she's just like, I'm just going to let her breathe because I want to. Like, she doesn't care. She does not give a fuck if that show is not on. She don't care. Let's keep it 100.
Okay. Well, all right. Somehow we turned 15 minutes into 3 hours.
We sure did.
How did we do that?
Because this show is so good. But anyway, you're in luck, though, because this episode is ending in a much better place than we originally had this ending.
This was a pretty bad ending.
This episode gets depressing the more we go. So, like, at least we have Big Nung and Little Nung not in the same room, but they're mentally together in their little love bubble. So, like, that's a happier place to end it than all the drama we're about to jump into, because it's a lot.
And who knows how much we'll get through next time. These episodes just keep getting longer.
We're going to finish this episode one way or another. It's going to happen. Just enjoy the ride.
Yeah. And do we do, like, the final, like, the Big Gay Energy Award? I forget in the middle.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
We do? Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes we did in the beginning and sometimes we didn't. Okay, no. Big Gay Energy Award.
At the end of our episode.
Or unless you have Taylor Swift songs. If I want everyone to write down all the Taylor Swift references from this episode, because we sang one, but there were so many that, like, Theora said just naturally in the
part of my conversation.
And it took everything in me not to start singing, and I'm damn proud of myself. I mean, yes, there is one song currently still playing in my head because she said it, and I only know the one line from the song, so
I'm sorry. Let's start with Big Gay Energy Award. Little Nung bossing Big Nung around in this scene we just went over. Like, wow, man. First of all, the audacity to be, like, talking about sex games with your mother might be present, and then bossing Big Nung around the whole time in that conversation. That was a lot of Big Gay energy.
Mine is Big Nung telling Pinga over and over that she loves
I love your daughter.
Little Nung, and they're dating.
Oh my god, seriously. The Little Nung's family is wild, I swear to God. They don't listen. None of them listen.
No. I don't think that they learned that skill.
No, I don't think they did. That's why, like, they're always like, Big Nung, I don't know how you get her to love you. And she's like, I fucking listen to her. Why is this? They don't know how to do that. Big Nung, that's the downfall of this family. Anyway, Taylor Swift songs for this episode. Well, okay, Little Nung And this is, are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods? Are we in the clear yet? Are we in the clear yet? Good. And Big Nung's like, no!
That is
Big
so
Nung.
true.
And Big Nung in this episode is dancing with our hands tied. That's Big Nung. She's like, girl. Because she's trying to navigate the situation. And she's like, we're dancing with our hands tied. Like, we're still doing the relationship, but like now we're being boxed in and shit. And Little Nung is, are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods? Different energy.
It's like skipping down the street singing it now.
And he's like, shut up! In the clear, yeah. I could see Little Nung skipping around singing that song just to annoy Big Nung, and it would be super funny. And I wish I had this blooper that does not exist, but it would be so funny if it did.
That would be so funny.
That would be really funny.
Mine, so I was in the car going to a soccer game, and this song came on. And I was like, well, shit, this works pretty well for them. And the song is Ours.
Oh, Pooja wrote that in
yeah, I responded to
yes.
Pooja, and I said, like, yeah, I have it to bring up. And it's, like, perfect, and, like, we could do it like we did Cardigan. It's a lot more straightforward in the things, but, like, there are a couple of things that we could talk about. But if anybody's interested.
I think if we want to do it, we just do it, because it's our podcast. We do whatever we want. It's how you got a cardigan explanation for 20 minutes or however long that was.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I hope people don't mind the Toast references. I mean, it doesn't matter if they do, because we're still going to do it, because that is the way my brain works, at least, and Theora likes it too. So that's what happens.
That's what happens. It's part of the podcast. You just turn it off when you get there if you don't like it.
Okay.
All right.
So, now, time for the secret word. If you made it this far in the episode, we want to know. Use this word in a comment or a review. How about we do a review this time? We'd love a review. Maybe not with this word. Maybe a different word. Never mind. Let's do a comment.
Oh my god, Kaitlynn, make up your mind. Tell the good people what you want them to do.
I don't know what I want you to do. I can't make up my mind. Do whatever the hell you want. Because it is, you have control over your comment or review. Just like we have
your own
control
destiny.
over our podcast. Okay, but today's secret word that you're not supposed to look up the spelling to is incredulous. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, incredulous, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can still use it in a review. We do need reviews, so that would help out.
Where can they leave a review, Kaitlynn?
Oh. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave a rating on Spotify, but you can also leave a review on Podchaser. If you go to biggayenergypod.com, it should be on the homepage. There's a section that has reviews, and then it says leave a review, and it gives you direct links to them to make it easier.
Please and thank you. We'd appreciate it. Honestly, it's not just so we can read kind words or bad words if you're not into it. It helps us get into the algorithm so we can reach more people that are into blank and all this kind of content, all the content that we cover. So, like, it does help the podcast get out there to people who might like it. And that's why we're asking, really.
Yeah, because we want to share the joy of queer content with everyone. And we want to make sure, especially, we're on the train of getting Thai girl love shows to every single person. Everyone we interview or talk to now, we're like, so we have a whole world of media for you. Buckle up.
Yes, because that is the big gay agenda.
Yes.
Yes. So help us with that. And until next time, hydrate for lesbian Jesus, because this shit's about to start getting sad.
And gay it up all over the place.
While you can.
Bye.
Bye. And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.